Thank you for your pledge on Patreon. Alex Pennington.
Hey, yo, Flip.
Yo.
I'm going to put you on some fire, man. They got this new beard wash company. They got the lotion and the everything.
What's their name?
They got a recovery room.
What's the name?
Maestro's Classic.
G-Money's up front.
I'll put you on.
I've been with you on the Maestro's, sure? Man. You forgot the way I brought you? You forgot where I brought you up there?
Oh, man.
You forgot about Ghost?
All right. What's his name?
Ghost, you know again?
He cool, man. Yeah. Ghost is cool, man.
Yo, make sure you get your Maestro's Classic beard care products today at Target, CVS, or go on maestrosclassic.com and use the promo code QueensFlip to get 10% off.
10%, that's it? I thought it was free if you put your...
Are you crazy?
All right, I got it.
Make sure you go there today. Log on, maestros.com. I'm from Queens. G-Money!
Yo.
What's up, man? You good?
What's going on? We back at it.
I'm all right, man. I'm chilling, man. How's everything?
Feeling good, feeling better. You know
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Where'd I go?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I was working, you know.
Impractical Jokers.
Shout out to the homies, man. Shout out to Joe, Q, Murr, Sal. You know what I'm saying? Practical Jokers. I just did the movie premiere after party, Empire Hotel. Pretty big deal. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Paula Abdul. She was in the building. So I was pretty excited to meet her. She looked like she's still like 20 years old or something. It's crazy, bro. Straight up, you know what that is?
I know that.
All right, make sure. Okay, you look like
I have a new method that I want to allow people to finish their statement before I talk.
Okay. Nice. Good job, man.
We didn't get to you yet, man.
So that was on Tuesday. That was pretty dope, man. You know, it was a big deal.
I'm happy for you, bro.
I felt great. You know, I saw the guys, and, you know, I feel like, you know, I've been playing for them for a while now. You know what I'm saying? Comic-Con, no lie. But, you know, they meet a lot of people, do a lot of business. So I feel like last year and this year, they know who I am now, for real. You know what I'm saying? Before it was kind of like, oh, hey, what's up, DJ? And now it's like, yo, G-Money, what's up? I'm like, oh, okay. I'm in. You know what I'm saying? It's go time.
Nice.
So that was dope. Shout out to them. Shout out to Paula Abdul. Shout out to Casey. Shout out to Shay, the whole team. You know what I mean? And, of course, we can't start the show without, you know, giving a rest in peace to Pop Smoke. Shout out to the whole Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? I seen Kanasi turned up last night on Instagram. Unfortunate situation. You know what I'm saying? He was young, 20 years old. Everybody already seen what's going on online, so we're not going to take too much time and get into all the details. You guys know what happened already. How you feel about it?
I did a FlipDaScript live. You know, shout out to FlipDaScript live, a new show that we would be doing. You know, you see the wall looks nice. But yeah, I did that and talked about how I felt about the Pop Smoke situation. You know, how our brothers are hurting each other and how I felt it was a hit. And I ended up being right. You know what I'm saying? You know, growing up how I grew up, you know, we sent certain things, man. But rest in peace to Pop Smoke. Yeah. My condolences to him and his family. It's a very unfortunate situation.
It's crazy.
You know, somebody so young, 20 years old, trying to put on and their life is taken. You know what I mean? Regardless of how you slice it, spin it, chop it, you know, a hater's going to hate. Because in my mind, before you do something like that, you got to know that you're going to take somebody away. Even it's not going to take anybody away. But you got to know you're going to take somebody away that impacts people's lives. And you got to either be a hater or very selfish. And, you know, you try to fulfill your self-gratification. You know, you care about is your feelings and how you feel. So it's a sucker move, man. You know, a lot of times we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But, you know, a lot of things, if there is any issues, could be mulled over with a conversation.
Right.
A lot of gangsters really don't kill each other. Gangsters sit down and talk to each other. Those Italian gangsters, they'll sit down and have a meeting. And they'll, you got to knock you off, Johnny. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. But they have a meeting. But, you know, there's a lot going on. But rest in peace to Pop Smoke. Say that for another time.
Of course.
But I want to get straight into this interview.
Speaking of gangsters, so, you know, why not, man? You know what I'm saying? Let's do it.
G-Money.
Yo.
Episode 148.
Nigga, we made it. Oh, man. The audience is crazy back here.
We got a special guest. And her hat play that noise. Look at her hat.
Oh, wow. Okay. I see what you did there.
It's because it's red?
No.
Don't give it to you.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it? Oh.
So you don't know where this sound is from?
You had it right there.
That's Alpha 5. Not Alpha 5. Alpha 5.
Alpha 5.
From the Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember.
Boston's in the building. Beantown.
Mean streets of Boston.
I went over there with a Yankees hat and I got looked at crazy. I had to take it off.
They don't play that.
What's wrong with them? They take that some real
take that
serious.
You cannot do that.
That's a fact.
Round of applause. Ayana Bean in the building. What up? What up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome to FlipDaScript. Can you please pull the mic closer to you?
Mic closer. Okay.
There we
That's
go.
good.
Welcome.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
You said welcome to us.
Yeah, welcome to you too. You're welcome for having me too.
It's here.
Because that means you're biased. Like you gave Jamaica early in the joint. You can't give. I know. I feel it. I feel she deserves it, man.
Oh wait.
Like, cause you be lying. I gotta watch you.
Oh wait.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Welcome, man. Shout out to your son in the building.
Malik. Yep.
My man
What's up,
man.
man?
He didn't want to go to no other place, but he chose to come here with us.
Yes, he
dope.
did. Yeah.
Man, you cool, man. You know what I mean?
Wow, how you do that? That's crazy.
Mine really don't count.
All right, cool.
Because you heard what Lord Jamal said. He said, yo, can I get it from you then? Why you know, Lord Jamal played me, bro. He said, well, it don't count. He said that.
You know, wait on what that was.
Welcome to
man.
FlipDaScript.
Thank you.
Wow. So, you heard about us from your son, you said, right?
I did. Yeah.
What was the first episode that he showed you?
He told me to study this,
Mm.
and he said to watch. It was the Freaky Zeke one.
Oh,
Right?
nice. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one.
There was 3 others, but I
Okay.
didn't get to the 3 others.
Okay.
I did watch some other thing, like clips of other things, and then I watched Jamaica Hairston, and I watched the Freaky Zeke one.
That's good. I mean, I ask because some guests, when they research us, sometimes they go all the way back to the beginning and they see some of the crazy episodes. Then they're like, oh, I don't know about this show. I ain't going up there. These guys are wild. So you saw some of the recent ones.
Yeah, and I saw some excerpts
clips.
from some
Okay.
clips from previous things. Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
so I was like, okay, so now I know what he's talking about. Okay.
Shout out to your son one time for, making it happen. You know what I'm saying? That's dope. So, how you want to flip it this time, man? You want to jump back?
You know me. I just, you know.
How you feeling? How you feeling today, man? Let me know how you
So
feeling.
like I feel regular.
You feel regular?
I feel regular.
All right, so
Because I do want to turn up
I know.
a little
Oh
bit.
my
I feel
goodness.
like vibe for you today,
I
man.
want to get straight into it and ask her, you know, why did you take money from them children? But I do. I want to say, why did you take money from them children? But before we do that,
Okay,
A lot of money too.
that's
like,
fair.
Like a lot of it was like this on the joint.
It didn't sound like that.
Nah.
Nah.
before we do that, G, now we can
Take a time today.
Yeah, I can start it off if you want me to, G. You just tag me in, pause.
That you got a whole story, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
all right. So we from New York City, man. So take us back to your town. You know, born and raised in Boston,
Yep, born and raised in Boston.
the mean streets of Boston.
Yeah. Well, not too mean.
Not
well,
too mean.
not where I don't think it's mean, but that's the title.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in Boston. I was born and raised there. My family migrated there from Birmingham, Alabama. So my grandparents
South
came
okay.
down. Yeah, so my grandparents came down. My mom, she's the oldest of 8 children. So
Nice.
yeah, they migrated here. And they lived when they first came here, they lived in the projects, East Boston, in East Boston. So at the time that they moved here, it was kind of like Black Panther things going on, that kind of thing. The busing, which is pretty popular, staying out of the areas, redlining, and,
I don't know what
housing.
none of that means. I don't know
So
what the rest
redlining
of it means.
is when blacks were going to get mortgages for homes. There was an area that was redlined out, that this is not an area that they can move into. They can't purchase there. So some of those things happen in our community today, but it's not actually looked at as that. And that's what happens in a lot of gentrification.
So bring us back. So bring us back as far as you can remember, man. You're young.
Yeah.
From watching your story,
Mm-hmm.
it said that you were in your home. Your dad and mom fought a lot.
Yeah, so I'll bring it back. So before, it wasn't always that way, of course. My parents were young. They were married young, both living in the projects. They went to school together, high school together. They got married. They had me. And as far as I remember, when we had our own place, things were, fun family time. My dad was there. My mom was there. But as time went on, there was things that occurred. They would fight. There was infidelities going on. My mother always accusing my dad of doing what he was doing, and they would fight.
Whoa. You used the word accused. Did Mama Love catch him? Because there was no cell phones back then.
No, she didn't. I didn't see her catch him, but I remember telling one time I caught him.
No, wait, hold on.
You remember it?
I remember.
Bring us. We want to hear it.
Wow.
All right. So one day, my mother was going to she was going to dental school, a dental assistant school. So she was at school, and Dad was home. I think I was home, probably sick, maybe playing sick, because I like to be with my dad all the time. So for whatever reason, he was home too. And I stayed home with him, and I remember our neighbor, I won't mention her name, but I know her name. She lived in the building across from us, and she had a whole bunch of sisters too. So I think my mother accused him of being with all the sisters, but there was this one particular one, and I remember her coming over that day when my mother was gone, and her and my dad, I think he told me something like she was coming over to borrow something or whatever, but they were in my parents' bedroom.
Some sugar. Let me borrow some
Yeah.
sugar.
Well, hold on, but that doesn't mean that they did anything.
Okay, so they was in my parents' bedroom, and there's no sugar in there, and so.
But how long were they in there for?
I don't really know how the time frame, but my mother called while they were in there. So don't answer the phone. If my father would tell me don't answer the phone or the door or whatever. So I answered the phone. It was my mother, and she asked me, well, where's your father? And I was like, oh, well, and I just said, well, he's in the room with so and so. She came to borrow something, and then it was like, what? And then it was a click, and then my mother was on her way back home.
You didn't tell him that you told?
I did after. Like, I was like, oh, Dad, Mom's on the way home, because I told her that, she was here borrowing something. And he was like, what? You did what? And, it was just a lot of commotion. I was in trouble. Made me go in my room. I think I got a spanking. I think so. But when my mother came, it was a big fight there. And I think he was telling her that I was lying, I was making stuff up, because I was the only child at the time.
I want to ask you something about watching your documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Was it really? Do you remember any good times?
Yeah.
Between your mom and dad.
Yeah, we had,
family time.
had good family time. We would go everywhere to the movies. I think we went like every other week to the movies. We did things. We went to the malls, went shopping. They didn't have cars, but we, did a lot of going places, So we did have good family times. My father he's a funny guy, and it was always a good time when things were good,
When did things get bad, do you think, in your opinion? Like when you...
I think that when I turned 6, 7 years old, around then, it was kind of a lot more constant, fighting. And there was this one time the last time that I saw my dad actually was him and my mom had a fight. It was a really bad fight. And I remember sneaking on the phone, calling my grandmother and letting her know what was happening. And then her and my grandfather and my uncles, my mother has 5 brothers, and they showed up to the house. And then my grandmother took me in the room and shut the door, and she told me just to stay there. And then I just heard all the fighting and commotion going on, and then I didn't see my father anymore.
No, wait, hold on. Whoa, let's slow down. They jumped your father?
Yeah, they jumped my father.
Yo, G, come on, that's a father, bro. G.
I'm just trying to set the, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't see
the
it.
picture. I'm trying to set the picture.
But you heard them.
I heard them, yeah.
Keep it real. You think they whooped your father? Like you think they?
I'm sure that they did.
That's
so,
crazy.
but why then and not before when it was going on? Because they weren't aware of it before?
I think, it's, you try to mind your own business, and, this is their older sister. So it's whatever if she doesn't say, whatever. And I'm sure they had their own, my uncles, and, my dad is the oldest of 11 kids. So, and their families grew up together in the same projects, so, they've been families and friends for a long time. They all grew up each other, like her brothers and sisters, they're all the same ages. So I'm sure that there was a conversation and probably some incidents where, there was, you did this to my sister kind of thing. And, some things, but for the most part, we were very family oriented. Our families are always together hanging out, and, but that one day,
Do you? So, because I saw like he knocked her out.
yeah, like he dragged my mother. He hit her, choked her. It was pretty. It was the worst. So I remember it very vividly because it was the worst. So I was very scared. I never called my grandmother before. I don't even know how that happened, but if I knew her number and all that. But I remember calling her, and she came. They were there within. It seemed very fast. They were there within minutes.
So, you said that's the last day seeing your father.
Yeah, that was the last day I saw my father until I was about 12. Yeah.
And then you saw him where at 12?
So we moved. So after my father, after I didn't see him for a while there, and I think he tried to. We moved out of that project, and we moved into an apartment closer by my grandparents' house. And actually, my mother's uncle owned this house, and we lived on the first floor. Her uncle lived on the second, and we had cousins on the third floor too. And I think that periodically my father would come there drunk or whatever, and my mother would. I think one time she let us see him, but for a few minutes or whatever. But he started acting dumb, so she was like, no, and didn't see him. When I got old enough, I have had a cousin that we're the same age, my boy cousin, Donnie. And we always kept in touch with each other. And when I was old enough to take the bus, we met up and we would go downtown, go to the movies and stuff like that. And I would go to my grandmother's house with him, looking for my dad, actually, to find out that my father actually was living down south. He had been down south for a while, they said, but he eventually, through my visits going over there, he had come back. Yeah, so I saw him.
So you said you was looking for him?
Yeah, I hadn't seen him, and I miss my dad. We had, my father. He's a funny guy. Even right now, to this day, like I'm close to my dad. You know what I mean? Both of my parents, but my dad's a funny guy.
So with all that stuff you saw that day, you still kind of like.
Yeah, it did make me hate him. Yeah, it did make me feel upset with him. I didn't like at the time what was going on. I was afraid, more so, and I didn't like him doing that to my mom. But I didn't grow up feeling like I hate my father. I didn't. I love my dad.
So.
You went to an all-white school.
Yeah.
You said something like that, right?
Yeah, the MECO program. Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
So what the MECO program is that you have inner city kids that are bused out to suburban schools. Mm-hmm. And so I started going there from the second grade until high school. Yeah. So my bus came at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, like hour and a half, 2 hour drive after picking up other kids in the city and then heading out to the suburbs for school.
And how was it in school? How was it for you?
I liked school. I always liked school. I always wanted to be a teacher. So before I had a sister, I would make my dolls listen to me, teach them how to do math and read. So that's something I aspired to do. When I went out to school, I just loved school, but it was different. When I was younger, I probably didn't notice it as much, but as I started to get older, I noticed a big difference between where we go to school at and where I go to school and where we live. Mm-hmm. And, it became more and more uncomfortable as I got older.
Do you remember anybody like mistreating you or any kids?
I always got teased. I thought it was the Black Annie. My grandmother used to sell Avon. I had all the Annie trinkets and everything. I wanted to wear my hair in a big curly afro like Annie. I didn't really, I wasn't in with the cool kids. I had a couple of me and my little friends. We was like, the nerds on the bus. I sat in the front of the bus. I didn't go to the back. I was one of those kids. I was quiet, but it was different. Life is different. People's parents out there, they drive them to school, or some of them get bus, but their parents are there because they live out there. So anytime there's events for school, their parents are there. They have nice lunches, and they have the nice clothes, and they look not like around my neighborhood. So
did you deal with any like racism or anything like that in your town in school?
Just the typical, call you. I've never been called like the N-word by anybody out there. Never. But like it could be like the black kids or the Metco kids. It would be the Metco kids was the thing they would say.
Gotcha.
And I don't really feel that hurt me at all. What we would have is called host parents. So it would be a family that's assigned to you. So like if there's events at school or overnight things, that you can stay with that family, and so that you can attend these events without having to go the back and forth. So there were parents that, opted for that to take in, the inner city kids. And I still have a friendship with, the young lady that was my host parents.
How long you stayed there for with them?
Well, I think we went to like DC one time. I sung in the choir. We were in the choir together. So I stayed over there so we could catch the bus early for DC. I stayed a couple of weekends over. Stuff like that.
And they treated you nice?
Yeah, they did. There was a time I kind of drowned in their pool for picture day. I drowned in the pool. My grandmother had got my hair pressed for picture day.
Oh, man.
And I got in their pool. I didn't know how to swim. I still don't know how to swim. And I got in the pool. I kind of drowned, but I pulled myself out. And then my hair turned into this big nappy afro. It was horrible. So you should see the picture from Picture Day on there, but it was bad. But her parents tried to take me to the store. What things do they use? We bought this electric hot comb. They, her sister actually ended up French braiding my hair, but they tried. They really were good family to me. They were.
Where schools at now? They still exist.
The school still exists.
Need some schools out here like that in New York, man.
This school still
Go
exists.
with other families.
Just the whole vibe she's saying. We need some more better schools.
She said
out
that she messed up her hair. She drowned in their pool.
Yeah.
She pulled herself up, and then on top of that, these white people, right?
They happen to be white. Yeah.
Try to take her to a store and get black products to do her hair.
Which they had none.
She got black hair. You got to find black products for the black hair, man. No? I'm just saying.
They were trying to accommodate me.
We need some more schools like this out in New York City. I'll tell you that. These kids out here is crazy.
So you growing up.
Yep.
And then I heard that you, in this time, when do you meet your children's father? Is it in this school? Because that's what confused me.
No. So I'll tell you what happened, how I got to that school.
There we go.
As I got older, like I said, it was, I started to rebel more. There was a time I started like skipping school, not going, wait until my mom's left for work, go back home, or hang out with my friends. My friends were in Boston, and they were going to Boston schools, and I wanted to go to school where my friends were because it seemed like they're always having a good time, and I wasn't getting that out of my school. I didn't think. I didn't feel the value in it as I was getting older. It was too much of a difference. I live here, I go to school there, but can't relate to that life out there.
Was it that, or did the relationship with your father catch up to you now, and you started to feel kind of like?
That could have also played a part in it too. That could have played a part in it. Not having my father there, and rebelling against my mother. And at this time, like I had 2 other sisters now. So I was the oldest. And I just started acting out.
What do you mean rebellion? What were you doing?
Like talking back to my mother. I would go to, so there's a skating rink called Chez Vous, and I would go to Chez Vous. It was across the street from us, really. It ends at 11. Well, no, from 11 to 12, there's dancing. And I was always told that I had to be home by 11. Like, that's when the fun starts, between 11 and 12, Ma. So I would not come when I was supposed to. And then she'll I'll be in trouble. And then I'll go back the next week. And then when I started to get into boys, I would leave and not come home.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. What?
Now, my son is here, but I'm going to tell him.
Yeah, I'm about to say that. It's right. Come on, man. What you doing?
No secrets from my son now.
You would leave and not come home.
Yeah, I would stay the night out. I started hanging around, I started hanging around in different neighborhoods.
Chez vous is 11 Rhoda Street.
Yep, and I lived on Morton Street, which is right across.
No, but I'm from over there. I'm from over there. Yeah, I did that.
It still exists to this day,
That's dope.
So wait, when you will go out and not come home for the night?
Mhm.
Because you was into boys.
Yeah, I had this one boyfriend, but he had a sister, so that's kind of like the thing. You go the boy, but I'm with the sister, but you know how it goes.
You hear the story, right?
He know about it. Guy. All right,
so during this time, again, I still go to school. The place I went to school is in Sudbury, Massachusetts. So I stopped, just started not even going to school. And I was asking my mother, can I be taken out of there and I wanted to go to my best friend's school. And she was not hearing me. So I started, skipping school. Well, I'll force them to kick me out, is what I thought. So we had a meeting, after I was, acting out, not going to school. We had a meeting with the head of the guidance counselor, whatever, my mom. And she was like, well, let's try this. Why don't you, if you feel that you really want to go to school in Boston, we'll have you go to school in Boston for a year. And then if you want to come back, then you come back. So it's like, all right, good, I won. So now I go to Hyde Park High School and they have metal detectors here. And I'm like, what? And this is not even the school I wanted to go to. This is not where my best friend was. She's at a different school. So I go to this school. It's different. There's metal detectors. They got security around here. This must be jail. These kids must be bad because this is nothing like school, So, but still, I didn't feel like I don't want to be there. There's a difference, and I noticed it right away.
Did you stick it out? Did you stay there?
I did.
End up going back.
No, I stayed. I didn't go back to.
Was it much harder? Did you go through the problems? Was worse in school there?
No, you know what I found though, it let me learn how education is in our communities and how it is in other communities. I could have done the things that I was doing in high school and in my own community. I probably was already doing in elementary. So I noticed right away a big this is a no-brainer, but that showed me a big difference of, well, why do we have to get bussed out to the school? Why can't that education just be the same here? Why are we getting less? So, I knew that right away.
How did you meet him?
I forget what class was it? Math class?
You know what class it was.
It was either math or English, but I think it was math class. So he was in my math class, and he actually knew a kid that I went to school with in Sudbury that lives around his way. And I remember probably a time, maybe a party or something, that I was introduced to him. I met him or something through my friend, or I don't know how that went, but I know that I met him through my friend that was at school with me. And then when I came to that school, he remembered me, and he was like, do you remember me from, Marcus or whatever? I was like, oh, okay. I gave him a number. That's how that went.
But so now you guys are.
We're together. We started dating, and we were together all the time, inseparable. It's my boyfriend.
You have your boy. You have two sons, right?
Yeah.
And your boy is your son's father.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but real quick before we get into a little personal, when you catch flashbacks, you seem like you're putting yourself there, like you miss him, or
Well, I mean, this is how we are. The way I see it, it will always be that's my family. He's always going to be my family.
I respect that.
And I don't have any hatred towards him or any, anger about that. Again, that's just like anyone else in your family. Sometimes you can speak to them today, sometimes you can't speak to them tomorrow. So in that sense, I'm not, it's not like oh, that's my ex or this past relationship kind of thing. Like, that's my family.
But you were smiling. You were a little giggly.
You was talking about high school.
Her face lit up.
Nah.
Her face lit up when you.
So you guys get together at such a young age.
Yeah, we're together at a young age, you know?
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're together at a young age. Yes. Now, bring us to we want to know bring us to the steps of that relationship. Because when you watch the shows, they do a whole bunch of
Yeah, they do a whole bunch of things on the show, yeah. So, just to guide you through it, we met in high school. We were together in high school, inseparable all the time. And we grew up together. We're in high school, we're turning into young adults, we're figuring out what we want to do in life and which way we want to go. And we're learning life, learning who we are, as people and where we want to go and what we want to do. Hanging out, doing what typical teenagers do. And we went to school together. We happened to be to school together, so we see each other all the time. We hang out with each other after school. We see each other on the weekends. We're together all the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, was it like love at first sight? Because you seem like once you mentioned his, his situation in school, your face lit up.
Stop with this. It's my family.
It's my
stuff.
family.
Nah,
It's
it's not your family. It's not your family. Bro.
It could have been a
That's
guy.
my family.
Look,
If
it could have been a guy you met
child.
and you guys got it rocking and had kids,
Yeah.
and then maybe different
That's
feeling.
not her family.
Yes, he is my family.
He's
my children's father.
So family and that. Okay, I got it. I see.
Right?
So when do you notice things start to change with him? What's his name again?
Herb.
Herb. My man
Yes.
Herb. I was watching it. Yeah, my man Herb. But when you notice things start to change? Because
Well,
if you're going from high school, that means you saw the transition. Because I'm pretty sure that his behavior wasn't like that while in high school.
no, not at all. And it didn't happen like, soon after high school either. So I say around like 1990, around 1995, 1996, things with us as people were just changing. What you want to do, what I believe we need to be doing, and what you're still trying to do. Like, you're still hanging out, being this young guy, and, I'm being this mother, working, going to school, trying to have this family thing, And, I don't think that that was a priority for him at that time, And I get it, a young man still, in the mix, out and about, still trying to live and hang out and do what you're doing, But in about 1997, around that time, 1996, what ended up happening is he got shot at the Jamaican festival. He was shot by an off-duty officer, and I remember that day very vividly because me and the kids were home, and he was supposed to be going to get us something to eat, but I don't know how he ended up in Boston. So we ended up seeing him on TV, laid out, because he had just been shot. So he got it, kind of grazed his head back there a little. So after that, I noticed a change. I noticed a change, and I didn't know where it was coming from, really. I couldn't pinpoint it, So as far as knowing when, confirming that he was using, someone told me it. Someone told that to me. So I didn't really know. I know the effects of someone smoking weed or, being drunk or whatever. I just thought it was, I really didn't catch on to what was really happening.
So
I didn't see it myself.
You wasn't, no disrespect, you wasn't that attentive.
I was attentive, but I didn't know. I don't know the symptoms of, I didn't know what was, I didn't see him really doing anything abnormal. I was just thinking, like, you're really smoking too much weed. You know what I mean?
I mean, and if you guys had a disagreement, and excuse me for putting this together, but if you had a disagreement, and even though you stood up to it, because you said that you would fight back, it was more like a fight. But in retrospect, you were used to seeing that before, so it was like a norm.
Absolutely, yeah, it was normal.
So that's why you couldn't really see a sign of a change in behavior as far as like, because I would want to know if somebody's smoking or doing drugs, you know what I mean? What's the change in the behavior at the house? When would I know? Like, okay, he's doing drugs. He's on drugs.
Well, he always
Did he get
smoked
laced
weed.
or you think somebody laced him?
I'm not sure. Because he's always smoked weed. That was like nothing. But I just noticed and he was spending a lot more time not at home. So probably I missed a lot of signs of things or didn't pay so close attention because he wasn't home that often. And probably due to, maybe not wanting me to see or notice any side effects or anything. So I didn't really notice that. But now after someone mentioned it to me, told me what was happening, I started to kind of, kind of think of, okay, I don't know I don't know this type of thing. I wasn't familiar with that. To know, if you're nodding or whatever, stuff like that. I'm just on your side.
A family member?
No. There was this guy.
Oh, I hate her. I hate her. Trying to get with you, right?
He had always tried to get with me since we were young. It was a guy.
Yo, what?
Hold on. Hold on.
Ayana,
Yes.
you dead serious?
I'm serious.
You giving somebody, come on. That's
I did
corny,
not.
bro.
That's not true. I didn't talk to the guy.
Herb?
No. That's not true. I wasn't.
You was entertaining it, wasn't you?
I did not entertain. I never liked the guy ever.
Right.
Never.
Herb like that.
No, I never liked the guy. I always, in fact, really despised him. He just has this aura I never liked. So when we were younger, he always tried to talk to me, but I never did. And he would always tell me on different guys that I was dating that they were doing X, Y, and Z. So he was just that type of person.
hater.
Yeah. So when I saw him at this club we all went to, he was, I always hate making eye contact with him or whatever. I just say, what's up or whatever. And he, I think we were standing somewhere and he came up to me like, oh, so, you're still looking good. Everything looks good, whatever. It's messed up. What, how are you doing with, what Herb got going on? I'm like, what does he got going on? What are you talking about? And then he said, well, he be with so-and-so and they, doing, it's like, no, he doesn't. What are you talking about? And that's how I found out. So when he said that, I was like, when we left, my cousin and I, we left, and then I called her, be like, do you know what so-and-so said? He had the nerve to say you was doing, why would he say that? And he was like, are you on your way home? And it was something like that, and I was thinking, why is he not mad like me? So that's how it happened.
Was it ever infidelity with him? Did he ever have,
Yeah.
Did you have to, don't try to play my man.
Yeah.
Look at the corner again.
Like,
Two
okay.
times.
Don't try to play my man Herb, bro.
What? We're early. Look, I had
trying to pay my
a
man
kid
Herb
at 17 years old, Like, we're in our early 20s.
So, have you ever seen him cheat on you with a girl? Like, you ever had to approach a girl?
Well,
Because you
first
don't
of
got
all,
that character. I don't know.
first of all, me, I would never approach a girl. Like, I do remember one time catching him on the phone with a girl and me just calling her number back, like, so, who are you? Do you all talk, whatever? And she was like, yeah, we were talking for like 4 months. And I'm like, 4 months? Like, really? And I did see him one time walking down the street with his friend, and that he had his arm around this girl, and his friend had his arm around the other girl, and they was coming from his friend's house. And I remember taking my car and driving it on the sidewalk to hit him. I remember that.
What? What? Wait.
I remember that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Damn.
It was a reflex.
This.
I can't
I'm
picture
gonna
her.
close my. Walk me through the area. Walk me through it.
I can't
I'm in
picture
Hyde
her
Park.
crazy like that.
You in your car?
I'm in the car. I have my
Driving,
sons in the back seat.
Southbound or westbound? Southbound or northbound?
Southbound.
All right, I see where you going.
Coming down the street with my sons in the back seat because
Oh,
we're supposed to
man.
go to the barbershop, and this is it's barbershop day. And where are you? Didn't get no answer. So I go riding around looking like it's barbershop day. So when we're coming down the street, I seen him with this girl walking with his arm around her, and I was like, and I just, it was like it was a reflex.
Did they jump out the way?
Yeah.
So when you did that, you kept driving or you parked?
I just kept going because, I had the kids in the car. I did.
You about to do a hit? You did a fake hit and run?
I did. It was a fake hit and run. It's like I caught myself. That did make sense. I have my sons in the car. They're little kids. I shouldn't. That was.
What did he say to you when he got home? Or when he got in contact with you?
I believe he came to the barbershop and took my car keys. Yeah, I remember that. He was like, as if I didn't know what I was I don't know what it was, but he took my car keys.
I want to ask you a question. What did you initially like about Herb? Like, what did you like about him?
Honestly, he has a heart of gold. He's a real cool person. Like, he is, like a guy's guy. He's a good friend and all those different things. He really is.
I was going to ask, does he remind you of your dad in any way, shape, or form?
Not really, no.
Because some people find
some people
someone
say that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They find somebody that's like one of their parents.
So he wasn't he's not funny like your pops, but
no.
When you say he's a
man's
man's
cool.
man, mean that he stands up for things like
he's just a cool person. Like if there is anybody that would have your back, he would be the person to have your back. Regardless of what.
But
you know what I mean?
That's an X answer.
Like, I don't see it like that.
I don't want to X. I want to know. When you was in the situation, what you liked about Herb?
I'm telling you, I did. He is really a cool person.
Feel?
He made me feel like I was so pretty, but I already knew that.
You trying to fix it. So, but in no disrespect to you,
no, but he was really honestly,
he complimented you a lot.
Yeah, we would go out. He buy me jewelry and stuff.
Oh.
He bought me some jewels. In high school. But we was real cool though. He's a cool guy.
Conversation wise.
Yeah, we talk about anything, go anywhere, do anything. So, I let him in my life. He knows like I let him in my life where I felt comfortable to let him know who I am. And I don't really always do that. Well, and especially as a young teenager I didn't because I wasn't, very trusting. So he was cool.
And sorry, G. And the thing is, like, okay, you guys, he was cool.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to him.
Yep.
You were going through issues as well. Like, we're not really going through issues, but you wasn't listening to it. But at the
I
age
was
you
wilding out as a teenager. I was wilding out, yeah.
And at the time, at any time, did you feel like he wanted the best for you, or it was just that? Because listen, what I'm saying. This is a difficult question to me.
Okay.
But you maybe can answer it. Was he one of those people that were encouraging you to do nigga shit, or was he like let's do it, or was he one of those people that was like, yo, you gotta chill out, or you think that he was young with you, so we both was on that bull? Like
we were both young. He had a whole bunch of friends. I wasn't a person who ran with a lot of friends, so I think I was more so the person that was like, that's you should like watch yourself. But
nice.
I just felt like he was just being a part of something, but he really that wasn't really who he was. So I just saw who he really was. I always looked at him as I know who he is.
You know the real him. Got
yeah.
it. Good, that's good. So things get a little crazy. You guys are fighting. You try to run him over. He was with a girl.
Yeah.
On barbershop day with the two boys in the back. You try to run him over.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out that he's on drugs.
That was
the time. You find out from a hater, a guy that was trying to take you down.
Absolutely, yep.
He told you he been trying to take you down for years. You didn't give him no play. You sure
still hasn't worked. Sure, never have. And just seen him recently too. Same deal. I don't even look at him in the eye.
What he say to you? How he say it? Give me the.
He was like, "You look so good, and look at you. And so, how are you doing with knowing what Herb's doing? How you feeling about that?" And I was thinking,
he's
what?
Hey,
we're in a club. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
That's crazy.
What is he doing? I was thinking he was about to tell me about a girl,
He told you, yeah.
But he told me that, and I was like, that just ruined everything.
So now, when was the time that, because it is said that he sort of gave you the idea to do the scams that you were doing.
Let me backtrack there because when not to interpret it as he told me to do that, or the excuse or the reason that happened. And just to backpedal a little bit, to let me tell you what I noticed about myself, what I know of myself that I have to accept accountability for. Going back to when I was at the other schools and what I started to develop into, I always wanted the better things. I wanted the things that I saw that other kids have, and it wasn't happening for me. So I would like steal little scratch and sniff Snickers, like when we would have book club day and the kids would get the smelly good erasers and the nice pens and pencils in the books. My mother would be like, no, if you ever gotten the little paper, you come and check off all the books and all the stuff you want on this day. And it was like, I never could get that. So I started to as I got older, I would take those things, right? I then even remember taking someone's book. I remember taking someone's lunch because they had like the Granny Smith green apples with the lemon juice on them. It was like just different stuff. And I just wanted the best of those things. So I had already developed this mentality of taking things. And those little, like, it starts off little like that. And I'm acknowledging that today, because sometimes I think that people are doing things in their adult life, but it's things that already were happening in your life. So you already probably had something like that in you, is what I feel. And I can say that about myself. So it's little things like that I know in my life had started to happen, just wanting more. Now, it never went any further than that for me, but I wasn't afraid to do that. So now we get to this situation, and he wasn't really like saying this to me. He's just talking out the side of his, he's saying something. And I held on to those words. But probably in my head, I probably had already was thinking of how does this work? You know what I mean? But it's not something I would have done.
Sorry to cut you off. For those who don't know, can you explain to them the job you had so we can know what kind of what you're talking about for those who don't understand?
Okay. So in my position, as you'll see in my story, I was a financial aid advisor. Well, that's my other time. But at this time, I was a director of students accounts, right? And the Perkins loan coordinator. In this position, I would receive checks from the banks, and my position was to log those checks and to deposit them, right? For the Perkins loans, students, I managed that program where, they had to repay that loan to the school. So those checks I didn't touch. That was very small. But the checks that came in from consolidation through the banks, from students consolidating their student loans so that they can make one lump sum payment to the banks and lose their grace period, that's what I deposited at that time for the beginning, the first case. So when he came to my job and he was like, he had never been in my office before, and he's seen all these checks, like, what what's going on in here, and he's always in the mix and always knows somebody who does X, Y, and Z. So he just ran that off and said it, and he doesn't even remember saying this, but I held on to that, and I kept that in the back of my mental, and I was probably already putting a little scheme together, really unconsciously, but not to say that, again, he didn't tell me to do that or talk to me about it, because nobody knew what I was doing. He didn't know what I was doing. I never let anyone know, really, until the end.
But what's some of them checks looking like? Like, what were some numbers that you saw them checks first?
9,000, 20,000, 12,000, in that range. Probably the largest at one time would have been a check for maybe 35,000, maybe, yeah.
Well, chill. But was this before, like, he? Because they said that he was taking TVs at the house one time.
That's a different time. So that's what it been. So
that was before. Was this after?
This was before then.
This was before then.
Yeah. So I have two cases that are featured on the show.
Got you. I saw that. Don't rush me.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. So he come in your job. Mm-hmm. And don't act like you don't remember what my man said. We ain't gonna try to.
I'm telling you, that's the truth. I wouldn't lie to you.
Exactly. I'll tell you if you need the idea. What he said?
He said, "What are you doing? What is all this? Like, what are you doing with it?" And I said, "This is my job." He's like, you get somebody deposit one of those, huh? And I was like, no, you don't do that. You know, it was like, just hurry up and get out of my office, you know, kind of thing. So it wasn't really a long conversation. It was just something he blurted out.
So tell us about, like, and G-Money actually, tell us about, after how long did he say that till you did that? You started doing it?
I say it was probably like a couple of months.
And tell us, like, how you figured the way. Like, walk us through, like.
Well, so how I figured it out was the way that I entered the checks into the system. And then I, you know, just follow like where it goes to this and, you know, what the flow of things was. What's the process? And then when I realized what the process was and how I can manipulate the system, then I was like, okay, I'm going to try. We'll see.
And how can you manipulate? Like, we not listen.
What?
Like, I'm sorry. Like, we not doing that.
What?
We not,
What?
I always think, I mean, it makes sense. I ain't going to
It's a process.
I mean, walk us through.
Walk you through it, detail.
Your case is, you already did your time.
Yes.
All right, so you ain't going to get locked up unless you don't want to tell to hate on
No,
somebody
I can
else.
tell you. You receive the check comes into the school.
No,
from
but
the
how
bank.
did you?
I get it
How did you figure out the whole method? Like, you tried it? Like,
because it's a job that I was doing every day.
Okay.
It's a job that I was doing every day. So I did it as a regular job. The checks come in, I stamp them, add them into the system, and then they pile up. And I would do daily deposits, and then I would send over a report to our fiscal office, and this is what's accounted for. And that's how that went. So that was my job that I did on a daily basis.
Okay, so
then what I figured is
money?
after a while I would not enter in the checks that were received, not all of them, or I would change the number to some of them, and that's how it went. So I just manipulated the system.
What you mean?
It's credits and debits because I have access to go in and change numbers around, remove things from here, pull this down here. This can disappear over here, and I learned how to do that. I manipulated it so that they wouldn't be looking for this because they don't know it's coming.
The students do not know that they're receiving a check.
No, it's not. So this position, it's not coming for the students. It's coming to the school because the student has gone to a bank and requested to consolidate their student loans. So then when you consolidate your student loans, the bank is now paying off the school who lended you the money, and you're paying the bank for the consolidation. So it's not checks that are going to the students. It's checks that are going to the school.
Oh. All right, so.
Don't try this at home, yeah.
Do not.
You figured out a way.
Mm-hmm.
Bring us to the day that you actually bought a check to the bank and cashed it in.
The first one.
The first one.
How much was it? Like $2,000?
No, it was about $900 and something dollars. It was light. It was 9 and something. So I remember, there was a whole bunch of them, and I was thinking I'll try something small. And I took it. When I went to make the deposit for the school, I left this one check and I deposited it into my own account. And it's like I didn't sign it. We had a rubber stamp. And I know that I learned at this point that you didn't even have to sign it or put the rubber stamp on. They still cashed them, right? So then in my head, thinking of this scheme, like, well, if I don't sign it, then, like that was dumb. But this is what my thinking was, like, okay. So I remember the next day, the check was clear. And I was like, wow, it cleared. Go to the ATM, withdraw this money. And once it came out and nothing happened, I was like, okay.
Showtime.
Yeah.
But hold up, that first day you went, like, how nervous were you that first day? Like, were you shaking? Were you scared? You tell a friend about it?
I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. I was a little nervous about it, but you know what? Another part of me was just like, I don't know if I really cared at all. I don't really know. I don't think so.
Yo, hold up. What you mean you don't know if you ain't cared?
I didn't have, like, you know how if you do something and you feel like, okay, I can't do this because it could lead to X, Y, or Z. Mm-hmm. I felt I had a foolproof plan to do something to benefit myself, and I didn't talk myself into thinking that it could go bad.
How many weeks you were cashing checks?
Shit, probably like almost 3 years.
Jesus Christ.
Now, how many weeks though? How many checks a week? One?
How many checks a week, you mean? I'm sorry. It depends. It depended on the flow of things, but I think that one time I probably deposited about 10.
In a week?
And what bank was this? Chase?
They're different banks, and then there were different. No, there's different
bank
banks.
you was working?
There's different. You mean where the checks were coming from, or the bank I was using? It was like Citizens Bank
Not talking about
that I had.
the bank you was depositing in.
Yeah.
Don't they give it like a red flag after a certain amount? Like
Yeah.
after a certain number, they don't come like
It didn't happen.
IRS don't come.
$10,000 if you do, but that's like if you go like. But this were checks, not me bringing $10,000 of cash. But I never got. Nothing happened.
Now, real quick, did something happen that day? The first day you did it, did something happen to make you like kind of push you over the edge to start it? Like did
Yeah,
something,
so-
were you going through a hard time or anything that kind of made you like?
It was a hard financial time. There was addiction going on. He was using, and it took away, a lot. I mean, I had this job, I had this big office and everything, but it wasn't a lot of money. I don't even believe the job. It wasn't even $30,000 a year. I have the 2 boys. We have an apartment, and it wasn't. We weren't able to afford a habit. So I believe rent was due this time, and he was gone with the money. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, okay, I'm always a person thinking, how can I fix this? So any other time it would be maybe, I'm too prideful and embarrassed to call and ask, like, who can I call and ask? Like, my mother, I want to do all that kind of thing. Right. So I used this scheme, and, it worked, and it was on from there. I deposited, once that happened, I waited a couple of days. He still didn't come home, and I went for it.
That's gangster.
Not really.
So now you're moving and shaking. The money's coming in.
Yeah.
What you start doing with the money?
Well, at the same time, I was learning the music business. So,
what made you get into the music business or want to get into it?
well, the school I was working at, and not just only that, but the school that I was working at was a school of the arts. So I was already interested in like magazine publishing and stuff like that. And I was going to school for business management, and I liked that, the entertainment aspect, or magazines, stuff like that. So I was already interested in it. And then some friends of mine had started an independent label. And, I was at the school. The school had a radio station. So we kind of, they were kind of asking me for if I had different connects or whatever. And they didn't know what they were doing. And I was learning this. So it's kind of like, plugging them into different things that they could do in the direction where they should go. And as I started doing research about it myself, about the industry myself, then I would find different events to go to, and that I could go to and learn the business hands-on and meet people and create a network. So I started using those funds to go to these events. I would take my sister, my kids with me. We'd fly out, go to these events that are expensive.
When did you meet my man?
Gazelle, I met Gazelle at TJ's DJs in, I don't know what year that was. I don't know what year, but it was in Tallahassee, Florida at TJ's DJs. So I found out about TJ's DJs through my research, and then me and my sister and one of her friends went down there. So we were down at TJ's DJs. Well, actually, no, I'll tell you this. I was looking at record pools. I remember this. I was researching record pools, and there was 2 in Massachusetts, but it's kind of like they weren't really operating. And the one in Tallahassee, TJ's DJ, seemed to be a name that continued to pop up. So I saw that he was doing an event like within that month or whatever, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go down there and learn about this record pool. And I called him on the phone. So I called TJ's office. He answered. I talked to him, and I think his name was Keith at the time. Yeah, Keith. So it was him and Keith. And I was like, well, you're having this event. I'm trying to introduce myself. And we made arrangements for me to go to the office. So he would show me how record pools work and all that. And then he invited me to the event that he was having.
They manage BOP, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he showed you that.
Mm-hmm. Went to the event at the Moon that night, Tallahassee. And so it's like a conference, like not a conference, but like a networking thing. They have artists, independent artists would be performing. They had, just networking thing. People would have tables there. Record labels were there, different A&Rs, different
Kind of
executives.
like South by Southwest type thing.
Yeah, kind of like a South by Southwest, I would say, but a smaller version of that. But it was big in the South, actually, because that night that we first went there, I remember the exact time. It was Gucci Mane was there, So Icy just was released, and he was there
early
promoting that. Like Rick Ross, at the time, Rick Ross was there, but he was the writer for like Jackie O and Trina's, who they had up in there. Everyone was there, and it's not no rope off kind of red velvet. You belong over here, whatever. We shoulder to shoulder and networking with each other.
And what did he put you on to, Gazelle?
So when I met Gazelle, and I was telling him, like, I never see people come through Boston like that. You know what I mean? And he was telling me he comes through Boston all the time. I was thinking, well, where do you go? Like where the white people live? Never seen. Didn't see it happen, or wasn't aware of it or heard about it. Not in our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So he told me that when he came up to Boston, he's going to call me, and I could, see how his operation, how he does things. He was with Koch Records at the time. So when he came up, we like kept in touch with each other. He came up and he brought, I think the first time it was Purple City. Yeah, I believe it was Purple City Bird Gang, and they were going to our radio station, and he hit me up and told me I could come. So I was like, wow, word, okay, good. And I went with them there. Learned like how I saw how he, what he did, and bring him to the station and bring them around. And they were always trying to find other things to do in the city, other than go to radio, like try to find other things. And I didn't. The people that he had bringing them, like they weren't going. Anyway, there was mixtape spots at the time. There was all sorts of places. I'm like, why don't you never bring them there? Do a meet and greet or in-store or something like that. So those are things that I never saw them doing. And I thought, well, if he trusts me to do it, I know I could put it together. I know I could do it. And he gave me a shot. I think it was Purple City. Then I think the first one I did was Chic Luch. And what was the other kid's name? Chic Luch and J Hood. Yeah. So I did that. I did J.R. Ryder with him and Karen Civil. Yeah, I did a couple of things. Jim Jones. I did the Jim Jones meet and greet at our WILD radio station. J.R. Ryder, I did an install with him. A couple of things that we started. So he started to, and then he would call me if he couldn't make it in town and ask me to just, they're going to be coming out. These are the things that are set up, and I would go and do it.
So you getting money and you like fly stuff. Did you buy yourself a car, a house?
I bought a house. But I didn't ball out like that in a sense where going and buy the Gucci bags. I never even had a designer bag until last year. I didn't. Hold on. Yeah. I didn't really do a flashy thing.
Smart lady.
My son bought me my first Gucci sandals for my birthday last year too. Yeah.
What happened?
I wasn't doing that kind of thing.
Your bag, G?
That's mine.
That's my bag. Oh, I see the bag.
That's my first bag.
I see the bag. I see the bag, man.
Honest. It's true stuff.
So you didn't believe it. You used the money more to invest in what you want to do. And you could sing, right? Or you?
No, I thought I could when I was a kid, but I wasn't trying to.
So you can't really sing.
I can't really sing. No. In the bathroom, in the shower area.
So now everything is moving.
Yeah.
You're getting money. You cashing these checks. Mm-hmm. Tell us what went wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what ended up happening is I felt like, I'm over my head. If I don't leave this job, I'm not going to stop doing this until I get caught. So I got to leave this job.
Addiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what made you decide that you wanted to stop?
Because I felt like this just I'm going to keep doing this. Like it was just it wasn't something occurred that made me feel like I gotta stop. It was just I felt over my head. I was doing too much, and I became scared of that.
And were you still with the OG? You still was with Herb at this time?
Yeah, it was still together, but we were still together. But again, like with the addiction that takes place, not home a lot, not around a lot. So when I would be going to the events when we leave town and stuff, me and the kids would leave and like come back, and we were not on the same page. We were living in the same place, but we're not
I
we're
mean,
not
you're
there.
getting money and you're a beautiful woman. I mean, were you
when I leave, right?
Were you trying to play my man Herb? Like, were you talking
Not
to
at
guys?
this time. Not at that time.
Not
You were
yet.
talking to other guys?
No, not at that time.
Yes, you
I was
was.
really I'm serious. I was really serious about the music industry. I would not. I felt like as a girl, you can't do that. Have a bad name. Like if you're trying to be in the music industry, like and you're meeting these people, you can't do something like that. And you know what I mean? Like, and then I would have this bad name. Then it's like, well, what was I doing all this for? Like, I didn't want that kind of name. You know what I mean?
The kids and stuff too a lot of times. So
Yeah, and my kids was always with me.
Yeah, so you can't really get too crazy
Yeah.
if she wanted to. I mean, she could, but
It could have, but my mind
oh,
frame. My mind frame was I'm trying to do something and have a very good name.
It's a will, it's a way, man. But she had the kids.
That's how it goes.
Where there's a will. So in your mind, you're like, yo, I'm doing too much.
Yeah, I felt like I was just way over my head. All the things that were going on at home, I felt like I wasn't paying attention to what was really going on. I was just letting everything get out of control. And if I didn't leave that job, then I wouldn't stop doing it. I felt like I tried to go cold turkey one week. Like, I'm not doing this week.
1 week.
But you already had money stacked up, though.
Yeah.
So then, all right, so you go to another job.
I left and went to another job. So I strategically planned I would go to another job where I don't have that access to these checks. And I leave and I go to the other job, and I'm there for about maybe 4 or 5 months. And these people came to talk to me there. They came and talked to me there, and they're asking me, these two white guys came. They were, just casually kind of asking me questions about, the process of how X, Y, and Z works here, my position. And I was just thinking it was, people that, they come through to when they auditing, different positions,
right,
that these are the things that they ask you. And then he said, so when you were at Emerson, and I said, oh. I'm like, and who are you guys? And he just moved and showed me his badge. And I said, yeah, okay.
Showtime.
Did you cry?
No, not at that minute. I probably was like deer in the headlights, like, oh wow. Like I didn't know how to process it at that minute. But when they put the cuffs on me and and I was like, so do you have to walk me out with the cuffs on? I don't want people, and they're like, we're going to do this as, they put like a jacket over it so no one can see me. And then like the security guy, when we were walking out, he's like, bye, y'all, have a good day. And I was thinking, okay. You don't see what's happening here. But then when they brought me to the station, and I was asking, well, I've never been arrested before or anything like that, so I should have a bail probably, And then when I got to the station, he said, yeah, your bail's $12,000. And then I started to cry. Like, nobody is coming to get me. Nobody, because he told me that my bank accounts had been frozen, and all that. So there was no money for any, that I couldn't tell someone to do X, Y, or Z. And so I was thinking, okay, well, maybe somebody will come and get me. But it was $12,000.
How long were you in there for? Before?
I was there when I was at the station. I called my sister to let her know. I was there overnight. The next morning, I went in for arraignment, and like all my cousins were there, and they started reading off, my crime and everything. And I was just like, oh wow, they're all here. I know each one of them has $1,000. There's $12,000. I'm getting out this morning. And I was like, got the money, and my sister was like, I said, wow. So what are they here for? You know what I mean? Like, why they come if nobody's trying to, I was kind of mad, but
So why
it's not
did
their
they
fault.
come?
I'll tell you why they came probably because when the judge said $250,000, all I heard everyone say was, it was like all of them just did that, and then that was it. I was like, wow. Then my bail, when they read off my bail, then it's kind of like they're gonna see what they could do. But I was thinking, okay, wow, okay, so this is what it is. I'm mentally preparing myself for whatever this journey's gonna be.
But the bill was 12,000. But if you put a house up, it's 2,000.
Right, but they wouldn't allow me to use my house. I had asked that question already to the bail bonds, and they wouldn't allow me to use it because in the investigation they needed to investigate if any of those funds were used for this purchase.
Oh.
Right, so they wouldn't allow me to.
So, Cousins was dead. Nobody helped.
No, not when we were at court, but when I got to Nashua Street, I was on the van ride, took me to the county holding jail, Nashua Street, and I didn't know what was about to happen. I was thinking, okay, so I'm down here, and the man's telling me I'm about to go upstairs into population. I was like, I got one call. Can I make a call? I was like, I can call. I'm gonna call somebody. So I know that I have a cousin who, him and his wife, they're pretty good with finances and stuff. And I called him like, you gotta come and get me before they bring me upstairs. Like, can you do it? And he was like, cause I don't know. I have to talk to my wife. You know what I mean? And I was thinking like, you gotta talk to your wife. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? But she actually grabbed the phone from him, and she was like, where do they have you at? And I was telling her, I'm down at National Street. She's like, I'm coming to get you. And she hung up. And I was thinking,
Wow.
why didn't she come to court then? You know what I mean? But, and I always am grateful to her for this day because she came and got me before I went upstairs.
She bailed you out.
Yeah, she bailed me out.
And then you go to court, and then how much time they give you at the time?
So they gave me, I wasn't going through a trial or anything. I just felt like, look, when the people come to get you, it's over, and you just, I did it, and this is what I did, and boom, I'm going to be accountable for what I did. So they offered me, they were trying to send me like upstate for 5 years is what the lady tried to get me at first, what she was saying, what they were trying to. But I ended up getting 6 months and 3 years probation.
And no disrespect, but I was kind of like, like, the judge liked you or something? Like, what?
No, not at all.
Did you cry? Did you put on a theatric? Like, what did you do?
No, I think it was more so of, this wasn't a Fed case, but in a federal case, you have the downward departure. So you kind of give them your story of, how you grew up and all this and how that, affects you and in the decisions and choices that you make. So it's pretty much was the same kind of thing. Like I wrote the judge a letter talking about, my hardships and all that kind of stuff. I'm a mother, 2 kids, I've never been arrested before. And I don't know if that really, was, the end all be all, but there was an agreement that they came to, like, and that's what they gave me.
So, and how was it in jail?
Oh, it sucked. I was in Suffolk County House of Corrections, South Bay, and I was in the Brown unit, and I was in a cell with 2 other women. No toilet in there. Some people, when I walked in there, I seen some people that I had known that I hadn't seen for a while. Noticed that they were in jail. One of the COs happened to be a girl I went to high school with in Sudbury. Wow. That was annoying. But she actually would slide me some books and things like that, and look out for me on that note. Actually, my father's cousin also was a CO in the jail, so I ended up not having to stay in Newman for a long time. So I moved along a little faster, but I kept to myself. But it was a dirty place. It's not a place for anybody to be. Jail's not. It's not a place.
Now, what's the female jail like? I knew we heard stories from guys up here that that been in jail and Rikers and this type of thing. Like, do you females deal with the same kind of issues as far as like, if you're not part of any gang or something that they kind of come at you a certain way or that kind of like what's the vibe for y'all in the jail?
I didn't experience that like a gang. I don't think that at that time there was a big gang culture in the prison for women. I think probably with the younger girls that were there, that's something that you could see a little bit of taking place or starting a bubble there, but it wasn't as it is like right now today. So I didn't experience that. I pretty much stayed to myself, and just when we could get out, when we would be able to go out like to the gym or for rec or to the library. I went to rec one time and I realized that it was kind of like a place where people go dating there. So I didn't go to rec. I started going to the library. And it was a mess. Women don't have, and even in prison, women don't have the same options to even of things that you can order that the men have. It's like you could be in the same place, you still have less access than the males have. You're still like second class.
So you do your time, come home.
Yeah. I do my time. I actually only was there for about 3.5 months. Yeah. The 3.5 months to come home. It wasn't such a bad feeling because I had a home. I knew my kids were okay at home. We had our own house. Their dad was there with them. My sister was around there with them to help. And I was, it's like I did, while waiting for my case to be over, I did get another job. It was at another school, but doing something totally different. So I saved my money, knowing that I would be going away to make sure that the mortgage and stuff was paid and that the kids had, what they needed to have before I left. So I tried, and the judge actually sentenced me in that October and allowed me to actually start my time in that January so that I can take care of business at home, During that time, before I went to prison, I did a music conference. I was working, and I took care of those things before I went in, and I came home, and I had nothing. I had to start all over from scratch again. But, my kids were safe. Everyone was good. The music conference was the Mass Urban Music Network music conference that I put together in Boston.
Okay.
And I did that in that. Actually, it was before I was sentenced. After I was sentenced, I had it all together. So I had, with that conference, like Jimmy Henchman was my keynote speaker, had all the different labels there. Clinton Sparks, everybody was there. All the labels were there, pretty much. I had representation.
So with this conference, it was just you, or you had a team that helped you out with everything, or?
My team was my family, my kids, my sister.
Nice.
I had everyone doing some little job, one thing or another, and we put it together at the teachers union over in Boston, and people bought tables, they marketed and promoted, people performed, and it was something that all the places that I had gone to, the different conferences, I took a piece of everyone that I liked and I put it together for Boston. Yeah.
Come home.
Come home to nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Come home to nothing.
Who was the kid staying with? It was with her?
Yeah, because he was clean at this time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why you didn't say that on the show?
I think I did. They edit things. They edit things. They do.
So Herb got clean.
He was clean before I went in jail. Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, he was clean. And he was taking care of the kids. Yeah. Yeah.
You remember that, Tom?
Yeah, I was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
6th grade.
6th and 7th grade.
Yeah.
How was it when he was clean? He was rough on y'all? Yeah, he was.
He's clean. He's a good guy.
You know him too?
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah. Herb gave him some trouble, man. Y'all was giving issues. He wasn't playing. That's why it's all right. Don't try to play my man. Get out of here.
He was so, you know what the thing is that he was not strict on the kids, but he, like how a man would raise his sons. He wanted them to, follow the rules and do certain things. And,
right.
Me, I'm always especially with my youngest son, Malik, like that's my baby. Like, he doesn't have to do no push-ups. He don't tell, you know what I mean? So we were always, so me being away, he's a little bit more strict with them because they're boys growing up and you have to be.
What they died now, yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
Did,
Didn't call nobody either.
and I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't. It didn't. I didn't have visits from my kids when I was in prison either the time. I didn't want them to see me in that position, you know.
That's understood. Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah.
Did you mention earlier that if you told her about what she was doing or not?
Probably a few months before, like for all those years, for that year or the second year, I think in the second year that he knew. Because I think he was like, "Where'd you get all this money from?" I went to get something out the bank, and there's like, figure how much money it was. And he's like, "Where's this money come from?" You know what I mean? And I told him what I was doing. He's like, "Oh man, you shouldn't be doing it that way. You should be doing X, Y, and Z." I'm like, "I know what I'm doing."
You say you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Not you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna do that, you should do it like this. And I was thinking, like, I know what I'm doing. It's not like that. It's not the street thing. You know, like it's different. Like, no, Yana, it's not. You know what I mean? But that's how I thought about that.
So you come home. You come home.
Mm-hmm. He was clean.
Nothing, you got to start all over.
I got to start all over again.
What happened?
I came home trying to figure out, trying to find jobs where I'm going to work. But it was around tax time, too, so I was able to file my taxes. So I had a little bit of money that I could, take a little bit of time to, figure things out. And I think probably, so I came home in about whenever St. Patrick's Day was at March. About March or close to April. I started working again. Things at home were normal for the most part. We were struggling trying to make sure that these bills were getting paid and everything. It was tough. So using the tax returns to kind of tie us over. And then I went to work probably by the summertime.
And then you went to work by the summertime, but...
Yeah, by the summertime. But by then also he was, using again. Yeah, so after I came home, I was like, but he was clean for the most part.
So when you come home, he started using again?
A couple of months later.
But isn't that...
So it seems like I'm the problem.
Oh,
she's back over here stressing me out, man. Let me get ahead of that.
So I'm the problem right now.
So he started using again, and then he started taking things out the home.
Things progressed. I think that if anyone knows, has ever dealt with or, been in the presence of anyone when dealing with addiction, each relapse my experience was that each relapse was a different kind of return, a different type of reaction. Yeah, it escalated. It escalated into, different things. I don't know, I can't really pinpoint why that occurred, but, the behavior escalated. Things escalated and it just became worse and worse.
Real quick, what about the fights that you guys get into? Was it bad?
I don't know, not bad like that, but there was a lot of just swearing.
He said yes.
You think so?
What was the worst
Probably
one?
some bad ones.
You be fronting, bro.
It's not that I'm fronting, but it's like a lot of things I can't remember. I can't remember.
You just don't want to talk about it.
No, it's not true. I'll talk about it, but
what was the worst one then? I know you remember the worst one.
Good job, G.
The worst one. Let's
worst one? Yeah, there was okay. So no. No, you said you didn't want to be on here. No.
That's my man. Nah, he's solid. He can do whatever he want.
About to give him a seat in a minute.
You feel that was the worst? I feel like there was a worse one than that, but you can remember that. I feel like there was worse.
Give us
than
two
that.
situations. We want to know what you and Sharita.
And she's gonna go crazy when she is in there. What happened is
what else, Sharita?
I think what happened was he used my car. I was at work. He had my car, and my sister told me that she just seen him and some girl in my car, and that the girl was driving. And I was like, no. No, that didn't happen. It was like I felt so enraged at this time. It was kind of like the last straw of things. And I was like, another person was driving my car. You know what I mean?
Like the last time when you did the little shit.
It was way worse now because you know what? It's like all the things that I'm doing, this level of disrespect. You know what I mean? I felt like it was like gee, like if you want to do, if that's the life that you want to live, then you should live that life on your own. You know what I mean? Like, I've been through enough. I feel like I'm going through enough. This is a hard time. Then dragging the kids through this. This was just like, and now you you're putting this out here on the street, but another girl, you know. So it's like, oh no, you know. So when my sister told me that, I remember being so enraged. I probably was never. I don't even think I've ever felt that mad before ever again, since that one time. But I felt like everything was red. It was gonna bloody murder. So I told my sister, I'm like, when I got to the house, I'm gonna wait for him to come here. I need you to take the kids and bring them to Mars, and I need y'all to stay there. I was like, don't come back here and don't call here. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't thinking, and I didn't have a plan, but I just knew that I was red, and everything was gonna be red. You know what I mean? And I wanted to hurt him. So my sister took the kids to my mother's, but she came back. She was like, the things that I was thinking that would happen, I just couldn't, do it. Please let me, be here in the house. And I'm like, okay, and it was like a crazy psychotic thing I was just doing, walking around. I was like, okay, okay, sure, stay here then if this is what you want to do, it was kind of like I had lost it. And I was waiting. I was so waiting for him to come in that door. And I knew as soon as he walked in that door, and maybe he wouldn't even get in the full door, I was just ready to attack him. And I think what happened is as soon as he opened the door, I did attack him. And it just...
Attacked him how?
I jumped on him. I was punching him, hitting him. You know what? I attacked him like a spider monkey.
It's a water boy
you know
type
what I mean? It was kind of crazy. I just remember attacking him.
How your sister got involved?
My sister got involved because first she tried to stop it.
Respect.
She tried to stop it. You know what I mean? She tried to stop it, but then it was like after he felt tough enough, like after he felt like maybe at first he felt like he was in the wrong, so he wasn't really trying to do anything.
Respect.
Right? But then I probably did a little bit too much, and he was like, no, you that's too much. And I think he started to hit me. And then my sister jumped on top of him, and I was, I was underneath him punching him, and she was on top of him punching him. And we just was rolling like that through, like in the bathroom. I think we came down the stairs. It was just crazy.
Y'all rolled down the stairs?
Yeah, I believe so.
Me
so how did the fight stop?
I don't know. It just ended up it just ended.
It
ended, and he left. He ran out. He left.
Y'all got the best of him?
I don't know. Probably. He just probably wanted to leave, and he took the car again. So.
Hey, yo, hurry! Where at? You wanna go ride with me? Hey, what's Peter Hurry?
This is not funny.
That was good.
He took the car again?
Yes.
You didn't even get the car.
Nope.
What's Peter Hurry? In the club late.
This is not. No.
Damn, son.
So, and what's the second time? Because he said, your son believed like, man, that's crazy.
Well, because he was small. He's the youngest, so he was small during a lot of, the earlier things. But I feel like there was a time where, like, I think he had hit me with something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he hit me with something, and I was bleeding. And I remember that time.
But you didn't fight back at that time because you was probably
Yeah, like I was scared actually.
Got it.
And I never been like scared of him or anything, but this was a time where I was like, I don't even know who you are anymore. So there was those 2 times would have been the worst.
So he starts using again, and
starts using again. I'm working, trying to figure this whole thing out, what we're gonna do, and I'm also still trying to get back into doing the music stuff as well. Just trying to hold everything together at home. And, at this time, we're now, missing payments on the house. The heat goes out, got to get a new water bubbler, all these things. It's just like it seemed like all these disasters were happening all at one time, and I was trying to juggle them. and I was trying to still make sure that no one could tell. Like, I didn't want, my biggest thing was not making the kids feel the disasters that were going on around us, you know, and I try really hard to do that by just working and trying to stay positive and, you know, have them do other things. Like, they were in basketball, football, just kept them busy, you know.
Now, at this new job, did you see any potential?
No, it was totally data entry. No money, nothing. You know.
So I want to know. 'Cause I want to get to the part where he took the TVs at the home.
So when I was working at the place that I got after leaving prison, I stayed at that job for about 3.5 years or so, and
Did you slow down with the music?
it did slow down, and but I was still doing things, bits and pieces here and there. And I actually was putting together another conference too. I was working on my second one months after that, and I did do that too during this time. But with when that occurred, I was working, and what I just lost my train of thought. I was working, trying to keep everything together. Start that job for 3.5 years. It wasn't enough money. It was not able to make ends meet, and we were not able to maintain the living that we were living. Like, this house, these things it just wasn't going to add up. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe now I'm off probation and all of that. So now maybe I can go and find another job back in higher ed. The reason, and it's not, I chose higher education because of the vacation that they have. You know, then I'd be able to be with the kids when they're home from school. You know, we vacation at the same time and be able to spend more time with them. So I, again, looked for positions that wouldn't have anything to do with checks. Being a financial aid advisor, you're not dealing with funding. You know, you're not dealing with physical checks or cash or anything like that. What you're doing is you're just getting, you know, going through the FAFSA, helping students get approved for the student loans, letting them know what they're able to receive. So I thought that this would be safe, nothing doing anything. We're good here. This is good, right? It pays me enough money where we can maintain everything, and, you know, it was good. So,
And then
But keep that. It was good. But remember, before I asked you a question, you were telling us how Herb took the TV.
right. So this is around this time.
Respect.
Yeah, this is this time.
My man.
Yeah. No. So I had left this other position, and I'm now at, you know, a school, and I'm at this school, and you know, he has this addiction still, and we're still kind of struggling, but things are going well, and we're getting up to speed with things. And so, but we were going to be losing this house because, again, I wasn't able to, the ends didn't meet with this house. So I was trying to save it, hanging on to it as long as I could. I wanted to make sure that the kids could at least graduate high school from this house, right? So I was killing myself holding on to this house, working this job that was just really paying for this and nothing else. He's in his, you know, he's in his addiction, and I find a hustle at work. What happened is that checks started coming into the school, refund checks for students, and they're not supposed to come into the school. And I was thinking, like, wow, Dad, this just really would have to happen to me. You know what I mean? So again, I figured out another scheme. And this scheme is that this type of school, that it was for like adult learners. So like if you're on unemployment, or if you're trying to learn like Microsoft Word programs and things like that. So they send you to this school so you can get extra extended time for unemployment, right? So most of these people would come in, and they probably had overdue loans, and they were unable to get, you know, loans. But me, in my previous experience, knowing how to help them go into deferment and forbearance and clean that stuff up, I would help them on that issue, and then so that they can get approved and stuff. But not everyone knows that. So if you get approved for $9,500, right? But you only need $6,000, so the school you only get what you need. But if you want that additional, you could request it. Not everyone would know that. So what I started to do is, again, I found a scheme in that, well, people don't even know that they could get this extra money. And then when they are requesting the extra money, it comes to us So it's like, okay, yeah, it goes to me. And then they come and pick him up. So my scheme was like, okay, well, people that don't know that they're getting this, just request it, and then it'll just come here. And that was simple, right? So that's the scheme that I started to do. And I did that for a little while. So now coming into, you know, a piece of addiction where actually I'm now, this house is going and we have to find another place. So I got him sectioned. So when you get someone sectioned, you go in front of the judge and you tell them that, you know, they're a danger to themselves and, you know, whatever, and this is the behavior that's occurring. And they determine whether or not they'll force a person to, you know, into rehab for like 30 days, right? So I learned this from when I took him to one of the rehabs, and the doctor told me, well, you know, you're doing this quite often. You know, you could do, you know, what sectioning is. And he told me that. And so, because he would go and then leave when he, you know, felt like he didn't have to stay for the whole thing, whatever. So I started to do that. And on this time, when I went to get him sectioned, I thought that he would be kind of okay with it because I felt like, you know, you need the help. And so he started calling me all kinds of names from behind the bench. And I was like, oh, wow, so this wasn't good. So so the judge sent him to, normally we would go to like a nice, like kind of this other place. But when he had that behavior, he sent him to this place at the jail. So he was really upset about that. And the whole time he was in there, he called every day, cursing me out. And I had to also go pick him up. This was the same month that we had to move out of the house. So we went to go pick him up. And we went to pick him up after the 30 days. It was moving day. And I was thinking, okay, you're going to come. We're going to clear this house out. And he was just like, give me my money. And he took the car and left. Took the car and left while we were clearing the house out.
Must be the Herbie! In Cleveland.
I mean, out of here, boy.
Oh, your Herbie is
us.
You want to go and take a ride with me?
He left us, and we was, you know, cleaning this house out. It was stressful, you know what I mean? So he ended up being gone for hours, and he spent all this money, and then he came back. He came back with some dude and some chick. And he came in, and he was like, I need to, you know, get these TVs. I was thinking, like, no. What's wrong? You know, I was thinking, no, you can't do that. But it wasn't so much of a fight for me. It was more like, listen, you need help. Let's, you know, I was pleading for him to, you know, just get the help. And I remember him like just telling the kids to go in their room or whatever. And he just, you know,
you remember
pushed
that,
me.
You remember seeing him take TVs and shit? You saw him carry the TV.
She like passed out after like the second TV.
Yeah.
She like passed it outside, and then he got in the car.
She passed out?
Yeah, like little faint or something, like, you know.
What made you faint?
I don't know. I probably was. I don't know. I just like blacked out, I think.
She was trying to get him to stop, and then by the time
I don't even know why Malik is here.
My man, don't ever talk about Malik like that.
I don't remember. I don't remember that. I don't remember
She
that.
fainted on the steps?
I think I fainted, yeah.
had like 3 little stairs.
I know you're talking about. She tried to front like
Outside.
he pushed her
outside.
down the stairs. That's what she tried
No,
to
that
front
happened.
the show.
That happened. That happened with when I was chasing him out for the second time when he took the other one.
Oh, he pushed you on the stairs?
Yeah, but that's inside of the house. But here talking about was outside of the house.
You fainted?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I remember
Had
that.
enough, right? Too much.
It had to be a lot, bro.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot that day? So he just came. You remember him coming for the TV?
They had like a 70-inch in their room.
What?
The living room.
60 inches in the living room.
Yeah.
And what did he say? I'm taking the TVs?
He just took them.
He ain't say nothing. He just can't.
We already took them upstairs.
Why the TVs though? He,
They was good TVs.
yeah, but
Facts. You're right.
Whoever he was dealing with probably.
Facts. Nah, you're right. Damn, son. He carried the 70 by himself?
yeah.
He like, man.
It couldn't even really fit in the car. It couldn't fit in the car really. They had the doors open still. That's why I was like, this is crazy. Like you can't, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
So all right. So her must be the Herbie took the TVs. I like her a lot. Yeah, I mean, I buy it. So into the TVs.
Yeah.
Then you like, yo, man, I gotta get some paper. It's too much.
I was.
You forced them. You said you got them in the rehab joint.
Yeah, but it didn't. Again, you can only hold for 30 days. And
he was cursing you out through the glass.
I didn't go visit him. He would call. He would call and do it. So you can't visit him there. You just have to. I had to go pick him up. And it happened to be all this stuff happening, within these hours that we had to move. And, I got my sons over here. We lived on a street where nothing was on there but boys their age. So everyone where it was a close, tight-knit street, and everybody's seeing this all the time. It's just like, it was too much. It was a lot. It was overwhelming that day especially,
So how'd you view him at the time? Like during that time, how'd you
high
view
school?
him?
I just felt like it was a lot that he was trying to hurt you in the family. The family, It was just a lot, honestly. The last couple of years of high school, like senior year, junior year, it was a lot. She was just coming home, like she said.
Yeah.
And then even me going after graduating, it was her second case coming up. So it was a lot. I had to go to college. He wasn't around. He was doing whatever he was doing. She was in jail.
Yeah.
Did you feel more like I'm the son? Let them handle their adult stuff and their parent stuff and stay out of it, or did you feel like, yo, nah, pops is wrong, I'm about to go talk to him?
Like when I got to like a senior year, like senior year, I started to like notice, like I was telling myself like that fighting stuff ain't going on no more when I'm around it. If I see it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Try to stop it or something like that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't like when they used to fight. You know what I mean? So
did you ever try to stop him, Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sit right here. Sit right here.
Stay over there.
I was waiting,
Sit right here.
I was waiting for it.
You were.
Welcome. I mean, you might as well, man.
This mic is on, but we don't get you right.
I can move. You know what's gonna happen to you when we get home. You're gonna get a whipping.
It wasn't I'm gonna get some sound time, man.
Hey, yo, hope this mic is on, y'all.
It should be. You tested it earlier.
Okay. Yeah, so you in your mind, shout out to Malik, my man Malik, welcome. So tell us about the first time you saw in your mind when you saw mom and dad go at it.
It was probably around the time either before the TV situation or after. And I mean one time it was like in the living room and I just broke it up, like, you know what I'm saying? I just came upstairs because my room's in the basement. I came upstairs and I just got in the middle of it, like, it ain't, you know what I'm saying? And they just stopped.
What did Pop say to you?
Nothing really.
He got mad at you? Like,
yeah, like a little bit, but not really. Like, it was probably like the first time I did that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
so it was probably like surprising to probably both of them.
Yeah.
You know? So they probably was like.
What started happening is that, the kids are now in high school. And, I think that I've watched it in different relationships with men and their sons. Now, son is coming of age. He's, growing into his own man. And now, dad and pops are, button heads. So it started to get to a point where now, we've always, and I always, make sure that the kids are expressing themselves, being able to, you can talk to, if there's an issue, I want you to be able to communicate it. When when something, you don't feel something's right, don't, communicate it. So I feel like they didn't feel like they couldn't say anything, but I don't think they knew how to say something. But as they got older, it was more like, I'm going to protect my mom. And that made me feel like, okay, I got to get my sons out of here because I don't want them to be, the kids to be fighting with their dad.
You know what's so crazy? Like, he's sitting right there and you talking for him.
Well, I'm telling you from my perspective.
Well, he's right there.
I know, but he'll probably say something else. But I feel that I'm telling you what I see as men.
You trying to clean up the interview?
No. I'm telling you about the relationship of men that I've visited, that I have witnessed, and the experience when sons are becoming of age and how they communicate. That's what I witnessed.
No disrespect, but are those your teeth or those are veneers?
Veneers? These are my teeth.
I don't know, man. Those are too perfect, man.
What?
Who's your doctor, man? Dr. Rubenstein?
I told you my mother was going to dental school. She used to always used me as the guinea pig.
You did say that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I never had anything done to my teeth.
I want to ask you an honest question, Malik. All due respect, I know, you know what I'm saying, How did you feel about Pops being on drugs, though? Did that make you lose
I really
respect
didn't
for
know.
Pops?
The same thing about my mom.
Yeah.
I didn't really know. I found out probably like junior, senior year that there was something that he was, it was a little off, but I never really knew before that.
But you a kid and you around different things, and I know you around like people you ain't know at all. But even I should say when you found out, how did that make you feel? Did you look at him different, or was like that's my father, I'm gonna help him?
By then it was like, damn, that's crazy. So now I probably was putting things into perspective. Like this is why a lot of things was going on and shit like that. Probably.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it started making sense.
You just put things in perspective. You ain't like that's my dad. I gotta help Pops.
if that's what he's out there doing, that's what he's doing. You know what I mean? We got all this at home, so if you're doing that outside, then that's on you. That's what he chose.
How did your brother act towards it?
I don't know. My brother's, I don't know.
He's kind of like a daddy's boy.
Yeah, he's like he's like kind of like
so
my dad.
You can't tell him nothing about his father at that time.
He never tried to break y'all up, neither.
I don't think that there was a time where that he ever tried to get in between, because he has a high level of respect for his father when he's a kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it, yeah.
So he'd probably be like, "Mom did something." That's what he would probably say.
But you was like, "Nah, I ain't going down like that." So how much time you stopped? You said twice. Like,
Nah, that was probably the first time,
Yeah,
and
it was a
then
couple of
after
times.
that, it was just whenever I was around. Like I said, I wouldn't allow it. I remember one time I got into a fight with him.
Yeah.
a fight with her.
Yeah, when I was breaking up their fight.
Yeah, that was when I was going through my.
That was when she was going through.
When I was going
her second
through my
case.
second case.
And this when I was going into college. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had a fight with must be the Herbie. Was that serious?
They had a
that's
real
serious.
serious fight. Yeah.
Hold on, before ventriloquist, you
serious.
have the ventriloquist skill.
I'm sorry.
That's what moms do, though.
Yeah,
right?
I'm about to say, my mom did the same thing.
Auntie Bridget the same
Yeah,
thing.
she did the same thing.
It's like this
Well,
hard for us to stay quiet.
G was able. G was. I can answer my question. Man. Go ahead,
But
man.
before I want to find out about that. But so tell us about. Okay, so you took the TVs, you fade outside.
Yes. Yes.
And then what happened next? You like, yo, I gotta get.
Yeah. We moved out of this house. We moved out. That was.
They had to move out the house that we saw.
I
TV?
let the
Yeah.
house go. Like I couldn't do it anymore.
That was a nice house.
It was a nice house, but what happened is when I purchased the home, I got it with, at the time when all the things were happening with the mortgages, and I had a balloon payment. So I went from an $1,100 a month mortgage to like $2,300 a month. And this was also, it was like a condo, so there was also a condo fee. We also had water, all the things that go along with that. So I was unable to maintain it, but I was really hanging by a string, just doing it because I'm like, these kids have to graduate from being out of this house. And I was able to get them, like Devon, my oldest son graduated out of the house, but Malik was in his last year, and that was his last year, and we had to move. And we only lived, like, up the street, we could see the house from where we lived, but it was a tough time. It was tough, and we were struggling hard to maintain that. And at the time that I caught my case, Malik had, he graduated high school, and we was moving him into college actually, and I already had everything. Everything was already done, loans and everything.
But what I'm saying is that like.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't tell us how you got your second case, though.
I didn't. Okay. So what happened in the second case, I learned a scheme of you are eligible to receive $9,500 or whatever the amount is, but you only need $6,000. So you have $3,000 more that you could request, and that check would then come into the school. And so if anyone requested those additional funds, they come into the school, the check would be there, and they come and pick it up out of our office. Once I learned that happened, and I was at the job for maybe over a year before, I started doing that. Then I would just kind of like target people who I knew wouldn't ever be looking for this extra funds.
And that's what I meant when you said.
Yeah.
I wanted you to get into more
Okay.
details. Sorry.
Yeah.
What do you mean targeting people? What people you targeting? The whites?
No, just like people who I knew, because I'm their financial aid advisor. So I know what, their situation is and what they're looking to do. Most of them were here for, just to get extended time off of unemployment benefits. If they're doing a program, they can get more time, like an additional 8 weeks or something like that. Or people who just weren't, they were just coming, not really, they're just doing this, not trying to get no money from it or really do anything with it. So after communicating, I would have to speak to them to I could gauge whether they had this knowledge or not. So I knew who didn't know, pretty much. But some people did end up finding out that they could, and then I would have to take this back and fix this one. And, it became this, it became tiresome trying to fix things.
And then
you
got wrong in judging the kid.
Actually, yeah, that would be correct. In a way. There was a girl who did months later want to request the funds, right? And it was one that I had used, and I was like, oh God, I got to do this one here to make up for this one, and then I'll have to give this to her in this kind of way, right? So I went on vacation, and I had talked to her before I left. And I was like, I'll just fix it when I get back. But she called while I was gone, and that's when the ball started rolling to an investigation at the school. Like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh shoot. But I didn't know this. So I'm on vacation, and I think I tried to use one of my cards, and it wasn't working. I'm like, this place is crazy. I got a lot of money on here. It didn't work. I was like, wow, okay, well, what's going on? I don't know. So then I used one of my other ones because I had a couple of different bank accounts, and I was like, okay, well, this one's okay, but I don't know what's going on with this one. And then, like, I think 2 days later or something, while I was still on my trip, my son hit me like, Ma, some agents came here looking for you and want to talk to you. And I'm like, agents? What kind of agents? What kind of agents would be looking for me? They're like, he's like, federal agents? And I was like, oh, man. I was like, okay, son, so I'll be home and we'll talk about it when I get there, okay? Just stay in the house. Don't, whatever. Just don't talk to anybody. Don't say anything. I'll be there. So when I got home, I had known there's an investigation going on. They had their cards there, whatever. And I called them. It was the city police. It was federal agent and like someone from the federal like student loan thing or whatever, government. So they were 3 different agencies that had come and brought my son their cards. And I tried to call them just to kind of see, y'all gonna arrest me today? Kind of thing. And as professional as I could. And he was like, well, we're not gonna arrest you today, Miss Bean. We do need to talk to you. And we're still investigating. So it was like they hadn't come to arrest me yet, but I would check in to see when that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So, okay, obviously I had lost my job. My son had to move into college that week. So I moved him into college. We just made it happen. I think I had bought him like a little Integra, and we had to sell it before he went to school so he could get, the rest of the things that he needed for his dorm room because he's going to be living on campus. I didn't know how this was even going to work, but I just knew that he was going to move into school and I was just we'll figure it out. But as long as he's somewhere safe, I was cool with that. By the time I think in the middle of it, the middle of it is when they actually came. I found another job I was working, and I just checked in. I was trying to figure out, well, I need to get this is federal, like this is different, federal lawyers. I don't have the money for that, you know what I mean? Because people were telling me like that's $30,000 plus, federal lawyer, and then well, this is your guidelines, and it's just a lot of information. I just didn't know what to do. It's federal. I don't know what we do with this, right? So they actually came to arrest me at my new job now that I'm working at. They come and arrest me there. He called me like a couple of days before and said that they'll call and let me know when. But they didn't. They just came to my job that morning and they arrested me. It was like about 7 people they came to arrest me and left. And it's like, wow, okay, so this is federal. I guess there's going to be no bail or something. Probably not going home ever. And I just started to mentally prepare for that. I was worried about my son at school. What we're going to do. It was tough.
Tell us about the fight with you and your pops when you go to college, man. Real quick.
What's it called? We was I forgot what
on
I was.
Newberry
We
Street.
was at my we was out in our apartment, whatever. I was with my friend in my room or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they was already arguing, and I was just hearing it, and I'm just like, yeah, it's not about to happen today, Especially I got my friend here, So then they was still arguing, and then I started to hear them like tussling, You can hear that. So then I ran out, and I seen them like trying to like, you feel me, like grab or whatever, and like I don't know, I just swung on them. And then we started fighting, and she was trying to break it up, and then my friend came, and then like grabbed me, and then we just stopped, and then I went in my room, and he came in like 5 minutes later. He came in, he said, you really just try to swing on me, like that's what you're doing now, and that was it.
It's heartbreaking.
And that was the first time that was the first time.
It's
So then when he
heartbreaking.
came and said that, it was probably like a shock to him, But it was new for me too, because like I said, it was the first time I actually, try to put my hands on him.
My man Herbie. So now you get caught in the feds,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to trial, and they give you a year and a day.
Yeah, I was sentenced to a year and a day. So I'm sentenced to a year and a day, and I went to Lexington, Kentucky. At this time, we don't even, it's like I couldn't afford for him to be at college for the second semester, so he had to come out of there. We were misplaced. We didn't have a place at this time. We didn't have a place when I was leaving. I did, we did get a place before that time, but then they weren't going to be able to maintain it after the arrest. So it's like I got Malik over here and my other son over here, like with family, and then I'm going off to Kentucky, and I don't know. It's unlike the first time when we had a house, everything's good. Now I'm going away. My sons are now growing into these adults. The streets are calling, especially in a situation like this. I'm gonna be gone now. It wasn't a good feeling to be on my way out to Kentucky to the feds and having my sons, young black males, on the streets.
How was your jail time this time around? Was it worse than the first time, or was it?
I think, these cases are 10 years apart. So me, I was a different person at these times.
Right.
I say a year and a day getting shipped out to Kentucky was different because it woke me up to life a little bit. And again, I am a person who not that I try to sugarcoat things, but my family's from the South. Like, you carry yourself a certain way. You don't let people in your business, things like that. So, I don't want my family to be looking weak and things like that. And I kind of throw the wool over my eyes to certain things. So when I'm there, I just open my eyes up to everything that's been going on, and I acknowledge how I've been living my life, what I've been allowing in my life, and what changes need to be made in order to be successful, to maintain a good mental state. I'm going to be away from my boys. I had to worry every day, like they're all that I have, and to leave them out here on the street and every day thinking like, are they going to be in jail too? Are they going to survive? Or, what's going to happen? Like, it was pretty tough just for that. But, I carry myself in the same way. I mind my business. I, just do what I need to do to make the time go by,
You get out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
You had to pay a restitution as well.
I have restitution this
87,000.
time. Yeah.
Paid that off yet?
No. And not only that, and I'll tell you this, not only do I have restitution to the feds, right? But I come home and the state hits me with a $10,000 tax lien and tells me, and I'm like, where does this come from? Like, how do you make someone, where does this come from? They're like, because you did not report these funds that you admitted to stealing in federal prison. I'm thinking, where does that go on a tax return? Where do you put stolen money on a tax return? You don't. So now I owe them an additional $10,000.
Did you start paying anything back yet?
Yeah, I got it. I got it down because you know what? While I'm on probation, of course, I had to make the payments faithfully. I made the payments, and then also they take your tax returns every year until it goes down. So you know, again, I get home into another financial crunch. You know what I mean? But you know, I haven't made any decisions or want to make any decision, especially back then when I came home, that would take me off of the streets and away from my boys at this time. Because like at this time, now that they're these adult men, and I don't know whatever they've been doing since I've been gone now, you know, I got to come home and make sure that I'm mindful and watchful what's going on with my boys. You know, so you know that it's tough. You know, but you know that's life, and in life, you know, you make these decisions and you learn from them. And when I was in Kentucky, I learned a lot about myself, and what I wanted to do and be for myself. And when I'm out here ripping and running and doing all these schemes and trying to fix this and trying to fix that person, this person, I didn't have to understand that I'm not in control of those things. Like, you know, there's a higher power that is in control of those things. And once I acknowledge that and let people live their journeys and their lives, then things will work out better for me.
Amen.
You know?
Do you have any regrets?
Yeah, I have regrets. I have regrets that I did anything that took away my time with my kids. You know, I have big regrets about that. It was a big deal. It's a big deal, you know, I feel, as a black mom, to be able to get your son into college. You know, when one of the things is when he was in, both of them actually, when they were at their high school, I remember my son telling me, because he was like the star of the basketball team, right? But I believe that he started in high school changing as well. He even quit the basketball team. He's been playing since he's like 4, 5 years old, and he quit. And I know that it was because of what was going on at home was affecting his life, you know. So, you know, I was living with that and trying to, again, fix that and make it better. But again, I can't fix and make better what's going on with him, but I have to acknowledge what's happening,
Right.
you know. So when he quit the basketball team, it's like the school was giving him problems. Like, he quit the basketball team in the middle of the season, and they told him that he was never going to be able to get into college. He's going to have to go to community college. And when he called and told me, I'm like, they told you what? You know, and I'm always like, nobody, you can be anything you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. Nobody is in control of that. So I'm like, okay, they told you that. Okay, well, watch you get into school. And they normally always announce all the kids that are going off to the colleges and stuff. So he got into Fisher College, and he also was going to be staying on campus, and he also got a scholarship. And they didn't announce it. They didn't announce it. And then I think he had to do summer school for like 3 credits, and they wouldn't allow him to walk, but they let other people who owed even more credits than him walk. So, you know, we were fighting. You know, we've been fighting. Everything has always been a fight. You know.
So, sorry.
No, I was going to ask him. Now, you know, you grew up seeing all this stuff. Like, did you ever want to follow your mom's footsteps and do anything to that degree to get some extra money or anything like that?
Nah, I was just trying to play ball.
Just something.
Yeah, I was trying to play ball. That's all I was doing.
And he was, you know what one of his things was? That he would be the kid that camps out at the sneaker store and buys the sneakers and then resells them. Yeah. And then it was like, I remember one time he asked if he could stay home from school, and he's like, you know, people pay me $50 for spots in line. So me and my friends, you pay him $50, me $50, and I was thinking, oh, this is gonna get bad if he's thinking like this right now. You know,
Start small and then
Hating.
yeah.
Hating, my man. So, what's up with Herb now?
You know, he's around. He's around living his life. You know, we keep in touch every now and then, but you know, he's not. You know, we're not together, obviously, and you know, we communicate. You know, every so often.
Is there a new person in your life now?
Yeah, I have a new person in my life.
I was waiting to see this, if it's going to give the same smile when you bring up her from earlier. I wanted to see the difference.
Yeah, I have a new person in my life.
How long?
I do. Almost 2 years now. Just
Where you
about.
met him at?
I knew him from our neighborhoods. I didn't know him, but I I'm familiar with who he was. Yeah.
How you feel about him?
Yeah.
I don't fuck with him.
You say no?
I don't fuck with him.
You don't fuck.
I don't think he would ever accept anyone.
Nobody but her, right?
Nah, she
No.
knows why.
Oh,
All personal stuff.
Yeah, she knows why.
Well, he younger than you?
Oh no, he's not. No, he's not. No, he was younger than me, but no, not him. Gee, what are you talking about? No, that's not him. No, you haven't met him.
He gonna see this too. He know you don't rock with him?
Yeah, he know that. Facts. He knows that.
There has to be,
Mama got light too, huh?
Yeah, she
kind
lives
of
it.
thing. Yeah, I live it. It's
But
just
he don't rock with him. He ain't rocking with him.
I don't think it. I just, it's tough. I think that that my kids will always be overprotective of me and protective of me.
So he must have violated because you always
No.
You always trying to co-sign some nonsense.
I'm not. No, I don't. I was not.
Because you trying to throw.
He never violated me. He never violated
You
me.
trying to throw in the fact that
He never violated me.
All right, hold on. You trying to throw in the fact that they don't want to see me with nobody else.
They
these
don't.
These kids are grown. They're not paying that no
but
attention.
They do. I'm telling you.
So you think he just said he's not mad about his pops?
No, he's not, because he wouldn't want me to be with his father either. You know what I mean?
So the guy must be a player. So if he ain't do nothing to him personally, if it's not no street joint,
No.
then I don't know.
No.
They probably just don't want to see her with nobody right now because they already
Nah.
saw.
Don't
They
want
already
to tell
saw.
the truth. That's what it is. She don't want to tell the truth. That's what
Exactly. I
I
know.
don't tell the truth.
Yeah.
I know. It's all right. It's cool. Because I'm going to respect it because obviously she don't want to, put that out there. I respect that. But
I honestly think he was the hater that you was talking. She was
No,
the
that's
story
not
she was telling about. That's not
No.
him.
No. He wasn't even around
See,
then. He wasn't around then.
You ain't
But
meet you ain't meet her boyfriend?
Nah, I know him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's met him.
Something ain't right. This is some bull crap.
Saying she ain't
Well,
telling you the full
so I'll
story.
tell
She ain't telling
you
the full story.
that
Well, what she told me.
You sure? You-
about
the
him.
thing is
hold on,
that
before you do it, because we don't want to have to be editing all this stuff
we
crazy.
ain't editing nothing.
I'm just gonna tell
before you do that.
Tell him, G, tell him we not editing nothing.
The show's almost over. We can wait till us after you if you want
There's
to tell us
nothing.
behind it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because we not
Okay.
editing. Don't call me like,
We
yo.
putting
we
this
need to
up.
be editing. We need to be editing. No,
We're not editing anything.
putting
No.
all
So
this up.
you could just pass and tell us off
no.
camera.
Honestly, honestly that the person that I'm dating now, the person in my life now, happens to know Herbie. I mean, okay, but we weren't dealing with each other. We never. Then what? What are you doing?
Yo!
This is no good. This is no
No
good.
bullshit. I never see G get up. I never see G get up.
Yo, hold up.
What does the getting up thing mean?
Herbie Peoples?
No, they're not peoples. They weren't peoples. They know each other.
Hey, yo, Malik, put me on, Malik.
They know each
We
other.
don't rock with him. We don't rock with him, Malik. Put me on.
That's
What's up?
not true.
Why you don't like him, Malik? Tell me
My
right now.
knowledge from what she tells me is her and my father never liked each other.
Who?
Who we're talking about?
Oh, I think that's not true. That they
Well,
had
that's
an
what you told
incident.
me.
They had an incident before.
Oh,
Alright,
so
so-
you
But
look
they
at it
were-
like, I got how
Like,
I can't look at it.
you can't go against the grain, period.
Double M. Hello, double M. Facts. I'm jacking him.
10 toes down.
He right. I got it. So regardless, if it was somebody new and not had problem with pops, you'd be fine with it.
Yeah,
You think so?
that's a fact.
Okay.
She don't like that either. She's like, yo, I'm gonna kill you when we get.
I'm not. I totally respect.
I already told her this though. So it's not
I
nothing new.
respect.
I mean, you
my
grown
son's
though. You
feelings.
out
Yeah.
here.
I'm 25. I'll be 26
Oh, yeah,
or
you
something.
grown, man.
Yeah, I
You
respect.
know.
I respect what my son has to say.
But that's good. You over here telling business. You should have kept that to yourself.
No, I mean, we're dating. We're together.
I respect that though. I respect
We're
that.
together,
I really respect what he said. Like, yo, nah.
I respect it, but we're together, and
He probably
you know
threw salt in your pop's name and all that, right?
No,
Probably
he
did.
never did.
Of course, you would say that now.
No, but that's true. He doesn't. He didn't.
I wasn't around
And
in that.
and what
era.
I'm saying,
Oh,
what I'm
respect.
saying
if he
is,
didn't, then salute to him.
what I'm saying
So,
is,
but they had an issue. We'll let him.
they
tell
had
his
an
story.
issue at one. There was an incident they had with each other, but after that incident, they were cordial. So it wasn't like,
The incident wasn't over you, was it?
no, it had nothing to do with me. I didn't know him like that back then. I only
So he
knew
ran
of
down
him.
on you one day, like, yo, what's up?
No.
Or was it Instagram?
What was that?
No, it wasn't Instagram.
So how he met you? I'm hating.
How
She's
we
lying.
connected? That's not true.
You used to say he used to always try to get at me. So don't sit here and say
that's
you said
Hey!
that. So don't say it.
That's not true.
That's what you used to say. He did.
I think you're getting it confused with someone else.
No, I'm not.
I think you are.
Double
That's not true.
That's
That's actually not true because he wasn't around. That's not true.
That's what you said.
No,
She
that's
said
not
that,
true. That is not the person that I'm talking about.
I mean, they're gonna go home in the car.
Because Malik is
They gonna be like, damn, they got me in trouble.
Malik, I believe Malik though.
but that's not the truth.
That's what you told me.
No, that you're
That's what
not
you told
thinking of that. That's not the story. The story is, and it's I'm being honest, is that there was an incident between the two of them at one time, and then before and after that, I never liked the person because of that incident, and then after that they were cool with each other. They weren't like hang out together.
But
they
how
were
did
cool
you
with each
end up
other.
talking to him now?
So all these 20-something years later, he, his friend dated one of my family members, and I normally go over her house. We hang out there, and he happened to be there with his friend over there. A couple of them was over there, and that's how that went. And we met there, and we started talking from there. And that was almost 2 years ago. And that's that.
Dog.
And that's that.
And
that's what it is. And that's what it is. And that's the truth.
Well, you seem happy.
Yeah, I am.
You have almost the same glow as.
I mean, I'm older now. I'm older now. I have a person in my life who wants the best for me, who does goes above and beyond for me, and who's there for me. It's true. It's true. He does.
I can't look at him.
It's true. It's true. It's true. I do.
So he supports
I
you.
do.
He supports you.
Me. Yeah.
Shout out to him.
He supports me, and he's there for me. And I respect it. And I understand that, my sons may not agree with that, but,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
So you still speak to your father?
Nah, I haven't spoken to him in a minute.
How many years or months?
Yeah,
Just
probably by
about.
now. It's probably been a couple years.
For a couple of years, bro.
Yeah.
Damn, Malik.
Yeah.
Malik take this stuff to another level. What, for real?
Yeah.
It's a separate incident that happened that you didn't speak to.
I just don't fuck with him really.
Respect. Is he all right though? If you know if he all right, is he?
Yeah, she talks to him.
Is he okay? Is he?
Yeah. Yeah, he checks in on the kids and stuff,
He speak to your oldest son?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, Malik is serious. Is he still in the area or he moved?
He's still in the area. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, shout out to him. I don't know, man, Malik that.
You told me I'm in the booth. You in the booth.
You in the booth.
What does that mean in the booth?
Like she just freestyling. Like, yeah, she's probably lying right now. So she in the booth.
I like that. She in the booth.
She in the booth right now.
So you really haven't spoken to him?
Who?
Herb. You haven't spoken to him?
No,
I have.
You have you seen him physically?
I haven't physically seen him, but I've spoken to him.
How long you haven't seen him?
Maybe over a year. Maybe over a year I haven't seen him.
You saw him last year.
Mhm.
What did you see him
so.
for?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I think when he was in a place, I like brought him some stuff up there.
Oh, God, I respect.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's more than a year.
Shout out to Herb, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully he get himself together.
Yeah, it's been more than a year.
Any final words to the people you may have hurt, or you know, or it just is what it is.
Hurt anybody? I don't feel. Well, you know what? If I have hurt anyone, I do apologize. It's never my intention to. I don't think that people intentionally want to hurt someone. But if anything that I've done has hurt anyone, I deeply apologize for that, because that's never an intention. I don't ever want my actions to hurt another person. If anything, I felt my actions were helpful to myself and my family. And in doing so, I could have possibly hurt some people.
How was Big Tigger in the basement? Because you freestyling right
How's it going?
Really?
How's Big Tigger? He's all right? I haven't heard about him in a while.
That was a good
He's
one.
good?
That was a good one.
Wow, Malik.
That was really good.
I had to get over it because he's
really good.
I don't think that wasn't fair.
So, like, what do you have going on now? Like, what do we got going on? Like, what's going on?
So right now, what I have going on, the episode on American Gangster Trap Queens has aired on January 9th. I'm episode number 7. I have a book that I'm working on right now. I have a nonprofit organization that I created so that it can provide resources for formerly incarcerated women and for families of, children of incarcerated parents. I'm working to put programs into the schools that teach kids how to create their own businesses and, their own, create financial resources for themselves. So a couple of things that are in the works that I have going on, trying to give back to the community and be a staple.
Do you plan on going back to working at any schools again?
No, I'm straight. I'm straight on the higher education thing, Yeah. But I don't plan on doing that. And I'm what the direction is that the businesses that I create will become successful, and I'll be just working for myself.
You was 20 in 94?
I'm 45 now, so yeah. What's that? 20?
That's when I was born. He was 20. Right?
Yeah, 1994. Yeah, I'm 45. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Round of applause, man.
I'm gonna kill you.
Why you gonna kill her for?
Because she knows she in the booth.
Be cool, man. That's fine.
Freestyle.
She knows she in the booth.
I'm in the booth. You about to be in the booth. You about to be up under the booth.
I've been waiting since the beginning of the show. She cool, man.
Yo, we really appreciate you coming up. Yo, you know what's so crazy? Please do like an Instagram video, bro. Let us know what happened. Yo, I need to be able to say this. You gonna see this like a word. Let me know if you want to have a conversation with you or something, man. Malik on his deans, huh? You still play ball? You still got it?
Nah. I still got it. Don't get it twisted. I don't play no more.
You still got the skills and all that?
Yeah. You can Google me if you want.
Hold on.
Oh, well, wait a minute
I got some
now.
stuff on Google.
You sure do. Yeah, you do.
What?
Oh, you thought I throw one to the bus now?
Mm-hmm.
I got basketball, so I don't got nothing.
No, there's a picture from high school. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of stuff you can Google in basketball.
What's your name?
Malik Bean.
Yeah.
Malik Bean.
Mm-hmm.
M-A-L-I-E-K?
Nah, M-A-L-I-K.
Yeah.
Bean. Type in like Brockton, Mass, or
You're going under the booth.
that. Or Boston.
You still mad about that, son?
They don't like the little phrase that we got,
Because I never knew what it meant. He just now explained it. Because
what's the put?
You can put Malik Bean Brockton.
Or Southeastern.
Or Southeastern.
Yeah, Southeastern.
Like
EASTON. Southeastern. Yeah.
You can find some bad
Wait,
stuff.
hold on. I see some bad stuff in here.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
You probably see one thing.
One Brockton.
You see that?
See one thing.
Yo, Malik, that's you, boy. You wildin'.
I was away. That's the time I was away. Yeah.
What happened, Malik?
Read it. It was nothing that happened. It was nothing that happened.
This was Enterprise News. What's that? What was it? The car rental news place? Oh, the Enterprise. Oh, I never knew Enterprise. I said, hey, you stole a car rental? That's you on the floor?
Yeah, they got me up there. They did me dirty.
Yo, what happened? You got your pants down and all that, eh?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I was in prison at the time. I remember.
Whoa.
I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's it.
Why your pants down, bro?
Because what happened? I think I probably tried to jump a fence or something. I don't know.
That's what you know.
So
He looking at Ryan scratch his head.
What did they accuse you of? A man fleeing the yards in the area. As a result, the quick response. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was gunshots in the area, and they accused you of doing them.
Yeah, exactly.
And they saw you running.
Yeah, but I didn't have nothing. That's why they let me go. I went to the station, bailed out $40.
Yeah.
You know, it was
You had to go to trial or nothing.
No.
it was nothing.
Come on, man, Malik looking crazy on the floor, man.
Yeah.
His pants, you look crazy. Take
know,
that picture, blood.
They did be dirty.
Yo, you look crazy. Yo, look.
Then also, you know what
It's
that
crazy.
also-
It's crazy because in the
Look
police
at you,
in the police station, right at that time, what they did was they put up the picture with my pants hanging,
Made
and
a
they
poster.
made a post at the police station like, "Oh, this
Don't
is what
get caught with
happens
your
when you have
pants
your
down.
pants sagging."
Oh,
And
nah,
they-
I ain't good.
Yeah, they did
What?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't do that, bro.
I know. That's why I came home. I didn't know about this. When I came home and I saw that, I was like, lawsuit.
You sued them?
I didn't. But I was talking it. But you know what? The thing is that it's no longer in the police station, so
Yeah,
it's
look,
like
he got
they,
it.
But don't look at that though. That's the only bad
Never
thing you'll
seen
find.
it.
Everything else is basketball.
Got the, yeah, look, got the
Everything
he
else
ready
is
to play ball right
basketball.
now.
Yeah.
I can't. Hold on.
he can't get past the other thing.
Ready to ball.
Malik
Ready to
Bean,
ball.
what else to put in for basketball? I'm trying to look for.
Just look through it. You'll find it. It should pop
Cause I
up.
see nothing but crime, bro.
Nah, that's only one
That's
article.
only one thing.
That's one thing. That's only one thing.
one
Malik
thing.
Bean's little, you know, this is.
But you might have to add. He has two last names, so it's Bean.
Nah, when I Google it, it's Malik Bean Brockton,
yeah,
and they'll pop up.
We're not Utah State. And I'm looking, B. I'm telling you, Malik, you got to put Brockton, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I just put Brockton, M.A. I'm going to take police charge, one, Malik Bean phone address, and put basketball.
Yeah, do that, son.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, put in basketball after. son.
Last time you gonna tell somebody Google you.
Nah, you could.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
there.
yeah. Oh, wow.
It's
It was
there.
led by Malik Bean, a high school
Yeah.
That's
newbie
right.
leads White Man Handsome Boys.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
It's up there.
But that don't mean you nice, though, Malik.
It
I was in
does.
high school.
He's nice.
I was nice.
He's
I
good.
said you led the team.
Yeah. Every year.
All right. Come on, let man talk himself.
I was varsity too.
Come on,
I
mom.
was varsity.
Hey, I'm the biggest cheerleader.
That's all I
Biggest
got.
fan.
Yeah, I hope your boyfriend around, because
Doesn't matter who's around. I'm the biggest
after he
cheerleader for my
watched this, he
babies.
was like, yo, I can't rock, you know what I mean? I need to talk to Malik. You know what I mean? But we appreciate you guys. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, something.
I
You probably
see
see some shit from when I was younger too, like 12 years old, 13.
What? Stop saying where? I always
You gotta look down. You gotta read through the
look
shit.
down where, bro? I'm telling you, I see obituaries, Hyde
No.
Park Bulletin,
Hyde Park, that's a lot of it too. When I was younger, 12, 13, a lot of articles
Massachusetts,
came from Hyde
domestic
Park.
and foreign.
Wait.
What's this?
Oh my god.
Hold on. Hyde Park Bulletin. Let's look at the Bulletin newspaper. Bro.
Stop playing me, Flip. Come on.
I'm not. Yo, I'm right here looking at it, bro. You not giving the right drawings. You want just look, Google, man. Like the Google,
Found something.
the Google out there work different from the Google out here, bro. Hold on.
Don't Google me.
Yeah, let me see. Around the neighborhood. Can I see something on Hyde Park? Hold on. I ain't gonna hate on you. All right, let's go to the second page. All right. They talking about domestic, man. What you had a fight with somebody?
No.
I ain't never been in nothing crazy.
And this is high school, right?
Yeah, the stuff that you found was in high school.
Mm.
But there should be some other stuff from Hyde Park when
Yeah,
when
Hyde
I was,
Park,
when I was playing in Hyde
yeah.
Park
Oh, hold on. At Hyde Park in Brockton?
in Boston. That's
Yeah,
in
Hyde Park,
Boston.
Mass.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it's HYDE. Right.
I ain't gonna hate on my man. Oh, yeah, I see you. I see you. What's his last name? What's his hyphen last name about?
It's my father's last name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm half Asian.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
I'm half Haitian, too.
Yeah. How you doing? I don't really know like that.
He,
I only
he
know a
can
couple
speak it.
things. Like I know a couple.
I'm not
words.
Haitian, don't worry about it.
Yeah. I only know a couple words.
Don't even worry about it.
Son, you got some crazy stuff, though, bro. I'm about to look at your record. I'm about to unlock your record.
Oh my god.
I don't got a bad record.
Oh, yeah, you in the newspaper. You in the bulletin. I see you.
He know, look, he confident, so he like, yeah,
I'm
what's
trying
up?
to tell you, it's there.
He Googled himself. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, we definitely, give out your social media.
Okay. So you can reach me on my social media is miss.yanabean. And it's the same for Facebook, miss.Yana Bean, YANA, and last name is BEAN. And Twitter as well.
My Instagram is MOB_Bean. That's it. Yeah, MOB_Bean.
Thank you guys for pulling up, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
How did you like this?
I liked it. It's good energy. I like good energy.
It's better than that other one she went to.
Oh, no, chill.
Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Nah, I thought she was done.
Shout out to all the other podcasts, and shows, and blogs, websites, radio, everything. Shout out to everybody. But yeah,
we gotta be
appreciate y'all.
careful of reiterated words that you hear on other podcasts. You gotta be careful because it can be pointed out, and they have side by side audio that can be played. We have to be careful. You know what I'm saying? That's advice to myself.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I really, and I just want, if I could say one thing,
Sure.
I wanted to shout out Miss Jamaica Hairston because the day that she came into town, we met, and I just want to say that that me being here is because of her, and I really appreciate her for
shout out to
plugging me to that.
Shout out to Miss Jamaica Hairston, and shout out to my man.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful people, man. Shout out
Yeah.
to them. People say that their interview is top 5, bro.
Yeah.
Squabble.
Yeah. I would say that too.
Top 5.
Thank you.
Yeah.
People.
He said, it's a lot of joints. He said, I don't know.
People really rock with that interview. I don't know if you watched it.
Nah, I watched it. I watch all of your shits. I'm telling you.
I appreciate that.
Top
man.
5 is probably like my
What's your
top
top
5. The first one would definitely be the Banger one when y'all went out there. Second one would probably be the Bimmy one, but y'all took that down. I like the whole NYC blood thing. Whatever I followed on the dude Killer Kev or whatever. What else one was good? Top 5. I like Miss T's. Miss T's is good. And
Shout
I like
out to her too. She's my buddy.
I like Gangsta Lou's too. I like Gangsta Lou's or whatever.
Appreciate that.
I like Gangsta Lou's. And Bootsy's was alright too. Bootsy's was alright too. I ain't gonna lie. Bootsy's was alright. I watch them all.
Thank you, bro.
I watch them all.
Hopefully you watch this one.
Definitely.
We're not watching it.
I can't wait to hear what happens when they after.
Queen flip, yo, man.
I'm killing you.
Yo, definitely feel free to hit us up. Let us know, how you guys like the interview and what happens after the show.
Absolutely we will.
Don't let her go too crazy on you,
Nah, I
man.
got you.
He knows what's gonna
She ain't gonna
happen.
do nothing.
Oh my God.
She ain't gonna do nothing but stay in the booth.
Big ticket in the basement.
Yo.
Over here.
That's all she gonna do.
We'll be signing out, man, on another dope episode. Make sure you follow the pages at Queens Flip with a Z, at DJ G10156, at FlipDaScript Pod. Speaking of Big Tigger, he actually hosting. I told you I'm DJing Memorial Day weekend out in DR. He's gonna be hosting.
Oh yeah, nice.
So Big Tigger gonna be out there. Yin Yang Twins, Terrence J, a few other people gonna be in the building out there. So it should be dope. You know what I mean? Shout out to Memorial Getaway on Instagram. Make sure y'all hit him up for the joints and all that.
Oh my goodness.
Through, you know what I'm
Myrtle
saying?
Beach. Okay.
We out of here though, man.
Thank you.
Yo, it's Queens Flip, man. URLTV.tv, man. Once again, RP Pop Smoke. Remember, lock your doors, close your windows, close your blinds, open your blinds. If you see Ayana Bean on your lawn,
Oh man.
put it away because she don't mean no harm. But if you see Malik on your lawn, don't be afraid to use a firearm.
If you see Ayana at a school,
But if you see Ayana at the school,
It's probably because I go there.
don't be afraid to ring the alarm. Get out of here, Queens.